I think that this is a huge role of the council is to sort of vision and set priorities and set directions for the city. And so tonight, what I wanted to do, it's a huge issue we've got to work out. It has to do with downtown Main Street. Part of that is Midland Square, but go ahead to the next slide there. There we go. All right, so when I started looking at Main Street and what we're doing, I thought, okay, well, how is it related to our pillars over here? And I started, it's probably not a complete list, but I went there and I started to looking at the Midland Square project and downtown. Some people get a little anxious when we just talk about Main Street. It's actually downtown with businesses a block on either side of Main Street. But we start to looking at some of the things that we're talking about here, and it affects every one of those pillars. And like I said, this isn't complete, this isn't conclusive, but what I went through, and it's connecting to the good life, it's connecting to each other, it's connected to peace and security through, an environmental, comfortable environment and engaging activities for all. It's connected to the positive well-being. So it really covers everything as far as the pillars that we put together a year ago. And so I figured, Kyle, this is, I think, kind of important. And okay, go ahead. So let's talk a little bit about Midland Square. I don't know if you heard Zach talk a little bit about this. Mark and I went through it a little bit earlier today. Zach's statement is, if we can if we can bring 250 people into the downtown area over the course of 250 days, that will make a significant impact. That's a big stretch. That would be a big stretch for what we're trying to do. But if we could get people downtown, 250 people there, 100 days of the year, with weekly activities, weekly programs and different things like that going on all the time downtown, then I think that's a step in the right direction. We start to making some progress there. I want to emphasize that the Midland Square project is not, it's a tool, and it is a way for us to, it's a way for us to provide a catalyst for the downtown area. We're struggling. Downtown is struggling in a major way. And if we can pull something like this together and bring people into the downtown area, stands to reason that, people, if this is an ongoing thing and people see people coming down, naturally those that want to start a business, they see opportunity and they act on that opportunity. I don't know how I can say it any more clear than that. This is the reason why this is being talked about. It isn't to redo something. It isn't to rip it up and start over because we're bored with whatever it is. This has a specific reason, and the specific reason is to provide a catalyst for the rest of the downtown area. And and that's, the research we've reviewed. This is what happens when you can do this, when you can bring people into downtown area on a regular basis. Things start to change. So that's kind of the idea there behind that. Okay. And so, we all know it. Right now, it's just not very inviting. It's uneven. The landscaping is uneven. It's underused. The spruce and other trees obstruct the view. Really, there's not a real big reason for us to other than when we have an event like the Arts Festival or Farmers, I just got through at that meeting, farmers market and that kind of thing, then, that's a good start. That's what's happening. But this is, other than that, that's kind of where the amount of activity that we've had, Santa Claus and trick or treat on Main Street. Those are two other great big ones. But we need to make it more inviting, something that is more conducive to having people gather in the area. That's the idea, okay? Okay, this is where we need to get into the nuts and bolts. All right, so currently where we're at on Midland Square is we have grant money in our pocket. I mean, we have it in our file, in our bank. $405,000. That was a grant that we received from the Rural Community Opportunities Grant folks with the state of Utah. That was when we applied for this, the county saw what we were doing, and they thought this was the number one project in the county. So they backed off on a grant that they were going after, the same thing, and in favor of seeing this one go through. I'm going to let Mark sort of explain this a little bit better because he can do a better job of it. But we have, the way it is right now, we have until September or October to show that we are making headway on this grant. What we don't want to do, and this is the fear that I have, what we don't want to do is wind up giving this money back because we need the Rural Communities Opportunity Grant to help us with Main Street. So we show them that we can follow through and we can do a project, and then we get this project done, we apply for another grant through them, which is that's what they're there for. That's what their purpose is to help smaller communities with this kind of project. What we don't want to do is we don't want to give that money back. I think that would be bad. So we have the $405,000 grant. We have impact fee eligible money of about $176,000.
What does that mean?
Impact, I'm going to, okay, so I'm going to let Mark explain that because he can do a lot better job than I can.
So we have every time a building permit gets pulled for a single-family house or a multifamily complex, then we get impact fees for our parks, trails, and open space funds. And, those funds will add up over the years, but then you have like 10 years to spend that money down. And this will be impact fee eligible because although it looks like it's a renovation of a current existing open space, we are actually adding capacity. And through the grant, there were three specific things that we told the Rural Communities Opportunity Grant that we would accomplish with this project. And one was to build the event space. Originally we called it a stage, but instead of a stage, we actually have it zero entry so that it's really multi-purposed. You can use it for other things more than a stage, but it will have the event lighting on it, stage lighting. It will have better power and electricity, so you can use it for performances and you can bring in a temporary stage. But really it's an oversized canopy that has all of the hookups for the stage portion. But anyways, that adds capacity to the open space. Restrooms add capacity, and the power pedestals and outlets will add more capacity to it. So when we go to redo our impact fee for parks, we can use this money, this impact fee money, because it's adding capacity. And then the next time that we are evaluating all of our facilities for the parks and open spaces, we can include the money that we spent. Not all of it, because you can't include grant money, and you can't include money that's just redoing landscaping or something, but we can include the portion for the stage, the restrooms, and the power in our next impact fee facility plan as we evaluate the new fees for the parks. So we can't just use that money on anything. We could use it on other parks project that increase capacity, but we can't use it on just any project in the city.
It's important to note that impact fees, and I think everybody on the council here knows this, but maybe for others, impact fees are paid by new growth. So as somebody builds a house, there's a certain impact fee for parks or water or police protection, sort of you name it. They pay their fair share to come into the area and pay for that additional growth. And I think that's something that probably we all know, but I just felt like we needed to say that. RDA funds, we talked about the RDA. The RDA is, this is money that has been put away from the Tremont Place project west of town. There was something over $1 million that was put away into that account. And it has a specific purpose of being used for downtown, for Main Street improvement. And so when we were working on the budget, there was $120,400 from that RDA that would be applied to this project here. And that's where that money would go. But that money is specific for downtown, cannot be used anywhere else. The arch donation, so we have, well, I'll just say it. We've got Nucor and Volcraft we are to the point now where I talked to Doug Jones the other day, and he said, we're ready to go forward with this. We're going to turn it over to Volcraft because they got the capacity to do it. And they are to the point now where their engineers need to talk to our engineers to get load factors and all of the other thing for the arches. I'm assuming, I haven't heard him say how much it is, but I'm guessing it's, I think 80,000 is for the two arches, and what we see there is probably in the ballpark. So that's a total of $781,000 for the project. But we proposed, the proposal that we put together is we're thinking it's going to be closer to $700,000. We're actually a little over the top in terms of the money we have available to us to do this project from the sources that you can see right there.
So how much did we budget in last year's budget?
We budgeted the
6.
let me look it up so I'll tell you exactly. 26.
So is that with the fountain?
500 and, so
Everything?
last year, we budgeted the 579, which is the $405,000 grant money and the 175,000 matching that we have to match because we have a 30% match. So we budgeted the minimum that the grant.
Okay. And let me ask you just really quick, was the budget, the money was it air tagged out of the RDA? Or was that out of our general budget?
The money,
The 176,000?
the 176 was a transfer from the RDA to,
176 or the 120?
no, so the 120 would have to be an additional on top of the part.
So the 170.
We have a transfer in Parks impact fee due from the RDA, 173,880.
So okay, so we had budgeted, the RDA,
So the RDA basically took care of the 30% that the grant requires for our matching portion. So, yeah,
and your total was five what?
579,600.
So can I ask, I'm a little bit mixed up then. So you transferred 175,880 out of RDA to cover this, even though you're showing us it's impact fee eligible. So we haven't got impact fees sitting in the bank. You're saying that over time we'll get reimbursed? Is that what you're saying by these numbers up here?
So we did that transfer, and we can pay for the project with that. We also have sitting in impact fees to pay for the parks. We have like $320,000 in impact fees right now. So we could instead use that 120 and adjust the budget to just pay for the impact fee portion, the impact fee eligible portion, with impact fees, and then transfer, and then use that money that was transferred from the RDA on the RDA funds to bring it up to the 700. But that's not how we did the budget, so we'd have to open the budget to do that. Back in July of last year, we were thinking that the whole project would be that $500,000 project. So we have more impact fee funds. That's the extra that we would have on this slide would be, we could use our impact fee eligible funds. Because we have transferred the 178 from the RDA
So to show a true picture, you just need to
to flop
reverse
those.
impact fee eligible
That's
and
what I'm
RDA
thinking
funds.
is they just need to be reversed, don't they?
Yeah,
The RDA funds are,
they're already transferred, the 170.
the RDA funds are the 176,
Yeah.
and then the impact fee eligible is 120.
Correct.
Oh, I typed them in backwards then.
And the Nucor's going to just pay for the,
So they're willing to
Arch?
donate the arches to us.
wow.
Two of them? The
Yeah.
north and the south end?
Yeah, so they're, like I said, they're to the point now where they're ready to, our engineers need to talk to their engineers. That's where we're at right now. And then, you see the, the water fountain there and some other things. So those are all things that we can negotiate, I think, and as we go forward here, if it's really something that we want, or if it's something that we want to, this is an area that we maybe don't do. Those are all things that we can talk about.
And so where it sits right now also is the engineer is putting together an engineer's estimate based off of the final concept that we've shown him, but he's going to have a bunch of add alternates in it. So, do you want the fountain? Do you want these extra, this, that, and the other? This is how much the arches are going to cost, and then we can deduct that from our donation. So there's room, but they are drawing up the construction documents because, that's at the point that we're at. If we want to stay in the timeline, our timeline is the end of this year to have this done. We did reach out to the grant administrator to see if our engineer was worried that we probably wouldn't hit construction season, like to get it out to bid for the contractors to hit construction season possibly this year, and it could roll into next year. And so we reached out to see if the grant administrator would grant us an extension. He wouldn't at that time, but he said as it gets closer, let us know you're still working on it and this is still a project. And he said the board typically grants extensions, but he wouldn't give a exact on that.
That's a risk, you know, that I hope we don't have to face up with. But and again, I emphasize that you know, that it's not just this 405,000. I think they're willing to work with us on future improvements to Main Street and downtown. I just don't want to risk that opportunity by not fulfilling what we said we would do. So that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Claire.
are we going to discuss, I think we need to do some compromise from what we've heard about what's going on. And I think we need to decide. I think we can make it cheaper or, I mean, we got to listen to some of the complaints that I think are valid. And water's the main one that most people didn't want it. And I'm sure that'd save us a lot of money.
Yeah. And as that estimate comes out, I think that's a good time to pull the group together, maybe have a town hall and invite these people who have come in and give us their email addresses and say, now we know prices with this. We know what the grant is giving us and what we have to match. But if we don't want to do the extra or you know, I know the Veterans Monument is very important to people. They want to make sure it's protected, and we've thrown around a couple of ideas. The mayor's thrown around some ideas. Maybe we put a nice little 4-foot wrought iron fence or something to protect it.
I
or,
really wonder if that would be a sort of a demarcation mark around the memorial. Some kind of a wrought iron fence, a black wrought, you know, and it would sort of differentiate the memorial from the rest of the square. But people could also easily walk between the two of them. But it would just sort of have this differentiation between the two things, and I think it would sort of set the memorial off as something, you know, extra special that I think would be a good point. I know that there's some people that think that the square is the veterans. It is not. I want to emphasize it is not the veterans. The city, the family sold this property to the city. The square was designed and put together, and then along came the memorial. And the memorial at that point was added to the square as a feature that it would be, we felt like would be really a real positive thing. So, you know, there's some things that we can do to make the, you know, to make it more user friendly and more, you know, and have some input and everything. But the ship has sailed. Okay, so the project is going forward, and at this point now we can start to negotiate on maybe some of the finishing touches. Yeah, Lyle.
Had 2 or 3 calls even after the meeting. I think we need to remember to somehow save those pavers and use them. I mean, that's an issue that,
yeah. So did you throw this idea out to them? And I'm wondering, and this is why I like a town hall with some of these concerns would be nice. Not necessarily public comment time where we can't talk and negotiate, but really like more open house and talking these things through. But the pavers are in bad shape as it is.
Some of them are hard to read.
They're hard to read. They've been there for 20 years or longer. And so I was wondering if we could get the names of the pavers and move those to, like, if Nucor donates these, I think we'd put a nice bronze plaque like we did over across the street on the Candy Bomber building. Nice bronze plaque that thanks them for their donation of the arch, and then put the original donors down on that plaque or something like that. I wonder if that would be a good
Papers
compromise.
in the posts?
In the post.
They're about half.
Oh.
Some of them pavers
Oh.
are in pretty bad shape.
They are. They're really
I
hard
hate
to read.
say.
Some of them.
Go over there and look and you'll see. Some are good, but some's pretty,
I remember them being in pretty tough shape.
Pretty tough.
Also. They're just right there by the door in the clock tower, if you want to take a
on
look
the
at it.
south side.
How many are there?
I bet there's 50 or 50
Yeah,
or
it's like
75.
what is it, like 8x8 square?
Not every brick is a name. It's
There's a few blanks in it too.
But you may be able to design those into your triangle, your rectangles around and then they're still in the square.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those are all things I think we need to make sure that we recognize those that,
That'll help.
Yeah, I think it would be important to keep those names in the square for sure.
Question I had, and I know I've asked before, but I'm still in the education mode. So with the RDA funds, an entity donates basically to the city to help the downtown or whatever they want helped. And so that money's in there to be utilized at that location. Does the entity who donated ever get compensated back by the city?
Are you talking like more the Nucor donation in this case, or
The RDA funds?
in the RDA funds? I don't think we've had a donation of RDA into the RDA money that I remember.
So.
So help me
can
with
I-
the terminology then. Then
Okay.
the money that an entity is giving to the city to use for a location.
So the RDA is, it's through property taxes, and it's depending on if you're inside the map of the RDA or not, if your property sits inside that. The increment between when the RDA was created and however much you have to pay in taxes that year, that's the money that goes into the RDA. And then at this point, the increment that we are collecting is being reimbursed to the developer that put all the money up front to bury the canal over by the Tremont Center.
So they are reimbursed.
They're reimbursed.
They're reimbursed off they didn't ever give us money. They did a project for the RDA. They improved the RDA with.
We ended up paying
infrastructure.
for the project,
No, they paid for it, and that's why they're reimbursed.
but they are reimbursed.
Yes,
And what
the
funds
tax
are,
increment.
and what funds are reimbursing them? Tax dollars. So tax dollars are basically paying for the project.
Well, yeah, the increment within the project area, the county assesses and collects all that tax. They give us a check for whatever the increment is, us being the RDA board. And then, because we're obligated to reimburse, the developer who initially fronted the money, initially put in the infrastructure, it's more of a pass-through to them. If we pay up on all of the projects that the developer has put in, say he spent $1 million and we've reimbursed him $1 million. Then for the rest of the RDA project timeline, then that's when the RDA receives the money and can use those funds however we see fit to use those funds.
Got it. The money, and I think I almost have it, forgive me. But the money that's reimbursing them, is that earmarked? It has to go to them?
Yes,
We
they
don't
have first.
We as a council don't have any control over that money.
No, that's how the RDA was set up.
First. And
They-
that was brought to us and then we voted on, this is how we'll use that money.
It's-
Okay, so
it's
we
a
did have control over the
contract.
use of that money.
Yeah, and we did, and we said
Thank you.
that person can have $2.4 million, I think is what it was.
Because that's what it was gonna cost them. The engineers said it was gonna
Right.
cost
Anything
2.4
beyond that
million.
comes back to us, right?
So that means that the developer had to risk him putting his own money into it, 2.4 million, on the hopes that it would be developed over there so that the real estate taxes would go up. And if they did, then he would get his money back. But if he didn't develop it and it went through the thing that he paid out of his pocket and Tremont didn't pay anything. But the contracts put together with those RDAs are quite complicated. And all the taxing entities have to agree that they're willing to give up their portion of taxes if it's used a specific way. And if it's not, then we're in
Yeah,
trouble that way.
and there's a whole list of projects that are pre-approved by all of these taxing entities, because really they're the ones at risk. They're the ones who are not getting that tax increment for the timeline of the project. But knowing that there's an end line to that project, which this one's 17 years, after that 17 years, then all of that property that was within that project area has now raised in value because they put in buildings and more people are shopping there and more things are being built in that area. And so they will receive more than just a farmland that's in Greenbelt, and they don't basically get anything at that point.
I mean, in the ideal situation, then what I'm hearing is it's a win-win situation.
Yes.
So the community gets enhanced. The funding passes through, but then we have increased taxes that are helping us in revenues.
Right.
Everybody's nodding. Did I understand that right?
Well, right, and after he pays off, there's a window, hopefully, that we get to take advantage of that tax that isn't being collected.
And
It's
use
coming
money.
directly to us, and that's what we're banking on.
And right now, we have about 1.139 million in that RDA right now, which we wanted to be able to take 120,000 from that for the Midland Square. That would leave the balance. You can go on to the next slide. Go back, maybe finish this. That would leave the balance of that, whatever 1.139 less 120,000 is. That would be what we've got available to us right now that we can use for Main Street improvement. And it is specific for Main Street. That's what we have to use it on. We can't go putting it somewhere
And I've
else.
seen the map for the zone of Main Street.
Yeah,
so I
exactly.
Got
Yeah,
that part.
that's exactly right.
And the reason we have $1 million sitting in the Tremont Center RDA, because all of the money that we're collecting from property taxes is being passed through. Because before there was any increment, this developer put in a huge chunk of money. So all of that money is being passed through. The reason we have $1 million sitting in there is because a few years ago, after this RDA was created, the city council decided they wanted Main Street to have a facelift. And with our sales tax dollars, they transferred money from the city council general fund budget to the RDA budget. I think it was like $250,000 for 4 years or something like that. They made a few transfers at the end of the year, made it a priority during budget time to transfer from the general fund to the RDA fund. So that's why we have money in there. Otherwise, we're not gaining any money in the RDA except for off of interest, because the money that flows in is being diverted back to the developer that put the risk in. So we do have some money in there, but it wasn't from the taxing. It was from the council a few years back transferring money from
The
our
issue, and the
general
issue we've
fund.
got is over the last, whenever that was, when we put that money in there, clearly inflation has taken away a lot of the buying power. So the feeling is we need to act.
Yeah.
We need to go forward and, we can't risk inflation taking away any more buying power, kind of a thing. So, okay, we'll go ahead.
So are we moving away from Midland Square, or are we still talking about it?
We're moving away.
Okay, well, can we
Or
talk
go
about it a
back.
little bit more? I don't think we're done.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm kind of on board with Blair just a little on this. I got a little concerned about your statement that this is a done deal. This is not a done deal. We haven't voted to move this forward, so it's not a
Well,
done.
in terms of the grant money and that kind of thing, I think this is my concern is if we don't move forward and we don't, we run the risk of losing that money, and we don't want to do that.
And I understand that, but we can't say to the public, this is a done deal, when they haven't had an opportunity to voice on it, and so.
Well, and we've had that, they've had that opportunity, we've had these opportunities, and we will tonight again. And, that's where I think the negotiation on, the finishing touches, I think that's where that comes in, is the finishing touches.
So what decision are you gonna need from the council?
Well, this is visioning, so there's no decisions that are being made at this point, or we're just strictly visioning. And I would like to see us after tonight, oh, and then Mark and I talked about this, I think, so we're both going to be gone for the end of this week for about 7 or 8 days. What we're kind of thinking is maybe, we don't have council meeting on the 5th, maybe the 6th, and I know not all of us possibly will be here at that time, but maybe on the 6th, we have a town hall, and I'd like to have as many council members here as possible, and we invite the public, and we have this discussion, and then sort of hammer it out to the point where we're ready to go forward.
I'm wondering if a better time, possibly, this is just an idea, is when the construction documents come out that have these bid alternates in them, if the council wants to hear, the input from the public after that point of, this is how much have budgeted, this is what the total project is. If we go for the whole thing, then we have to transfer some more money from the RDA, or what do we go with here and there, and make some concessions that way. Because I don't know if we're to the point where we know how much it actually costs.
And that's
This is
fine,
our-
and
this is our
I
proposed
understand
estimate,
Lyle's going to be gone during that.
When's Chris going to be done with the numbers?
I can follow up with him tomorrow. I know they're working on it real hard. He's called me 2 or 3 times, talking about it, trying to get the numbers in. And he may be done by the 6th.
And it may not, and like I said, I think you're going to be gone during that time, so maybe it might be better for us to wait until we have everybody here.
We could do a Tuesday. We could do that next Tuesday night if we don't have
When you
planning.
return.
I think
Or
you just
after
need to
planning
go
commission.
ahead as soon as you get those numbers.
Okay, all right,
I'm not going to be back till March 22nd.
okay.
I know Brett had a concern about
Can't do
not
anything on Wednesday.
doing any, Wednesdays or Thursday meetings, but maybe we could
I
do.
think as soon as you get those, no, I think you need to get a commitment from Chris. And then, so that we have enough time to get it advertised to the community.
Yeah. So we'll keep in touch then, not set a date.
No, I would like to see us stay as close as possible to our budget. Not go over, because even though we can pull 120,000 from RDA funds, that's also 120,000 we can use on Main Street. And so we've already earmarked $579,000.
There was a couple things on that first original bid, like they want $3,000 to cut down them trees or
Yeah.
something. I think with Public Works, there's
Yeah, that's something we can.
3,000, 6,000, just little
Yeah, I
bits
think
and
so.
pieces that,
Some of the grubbing and
I
stuff
mean, I
like
can't volunteer to Paul's guys, but something like that. Oh, yeah. Zach will give us Lynn, and Zach will be there, but he won't do nothing, but he'll be there.
Hey, I got a question that's probably out on Main Street. When do we, just notice like the building that burnt and they're wrapped it and then they don't finish it. Do we ever have something that says, we talk about making it better, but
Do we have
they
an
have a
ordinance that
time on a
can
building
say,
permit to finish it? Or the Bocas Reception Center got all tore off and then it
Sits.
looks like crap? I mean, at least they can
That's
spray
something-
paint the windows or something, I don't know.
We're all looking at you.
I don't know if that's a thing.
I don't know. I know
Oh,
they
do we
pull a
have an
building permit
ordinance?
and they only have a certain amount of time to
yeah,
complete it before they have to reapply for another building permit, but
Building permits aren't my purview.
they have a year to complete it. But what if they don't complete it and they're out of money? Like, what can we do to enforce?
We haven't got a policy for that then, have we?
I don't think we do. I can definitely look into it.
just.
Well, you're talking about Main
Making it
Street,
Better,
too.
but we gotta,
I was thinking, are they the ones that wanted alcohol there and we couldn't do it?
That was
write
maybe
that up
the
if they'll paint it or
Boca-
put siding.
That was what?
That was maybe the Boca Floral, or the Boca Reception Center place.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, that's what we're talking about, yeah. So I wondered if that had something to do with them stopping their construction on it, I don't know.
Yeah, I'll ask our building official tomorrow. We're gonna see him tomorrow, and I'll look into that. But as far as I know, usually we're stopping them from going because they're not doing it up to our standards, instead of saying you have to just finish this with whatever you can do. So
Okay, all right, let's go on. Are you finished?
So are we moving off Main Street then?
We're moving off Midland Square just to go talk about Main Street
Okay.
now. I wanted to just show you this. Way back when, I got to thinking, man, sales tax revenue was really predictable. And so I just ran a little simple model, and in that model, I can put in a population and predict the sales tax revenue, and you can kind of see that it's fairly reliable. The dots represent what actually happened, and the hashed line is sort of that's the curve that the thing put together. But anyway, so to explain this, if we've got a population of, let's just say we've got a population of 3,000, or pardon me, 12,000. Based on, I went back to 2006 with all the sales tax revenue that we had and plugged it in and ran it on that. So we put in a population of 12,000. It predicts that we're going to have a revenue of about 3.039 million. And what I did was that's really close to what. So far, we're tracking this year about 6% above last year. And so I just assumed that the rest of the year would be on the average about 6% higher. And it came in really, really close to that. So what I'm trying to get at is that, it's not 100%, but it's 96.65% that we feel like this is going to be about where we're at. So let's just say we're at 3 million. Then, okay, go ahead. I just wanted to show you that because that's going to play an important part here. So before Midland Square, and before we talked about what your idea is, Brett, we had a 1.139 million in the RDA account. After Midland, and if this is what the council chooses to do, if they want to use that money for Midland, or if they want to put it solely toward Main Street, that's kind of your call there. But that's just in this budget, that's what we have. And then, so that leaves us about a little over $1 million in the RDA that we can use for Main Street. Now, what I suggest, this is just my proposal. I'm not saying this is what's happening. I'm just proposing this, that we take $200,000 from the sales tax revenue and we apply it to the RDA. So we have additional money that we can use for Main Street improvement. And that's just my proposal. That's all it is. It's just a proposal. You guys have to decide that. So that leaves us somewhere between 1.2, and if we don't use the 120,000, so 1.2 to 1.3 million that we have available to us for some kind of Main Street improvement. So I don't know how many of you were sort of around when ESTAT came around and did this study for us, but they did a really good job. And we've taken actually a lot of the information that they suggest we do, particularly with Midland Square and some of that. We've taken a lot of that information from the ESTAT study. In here,
Mayor, this one's it took in the SDAT study, but then Soren Simonson did the 2020 Main Street Improvement Plan. So that's,
From the SDAT study.
they took in a lot of the
Yeah,
SDAT
yeah.
information.
And so what they have here, this is something that you need to be thinking about. They suggested that we do, they're called these bulb outs. And you can see Main Street along there. This is the block that Midland Square is on. So that's, you can kind of see where we're at talking here now. So you can see the trees, and then there's sort of these, what they call bulb outs, kind of going along there. And this is what they were suggesting that we do. The upper sketch sort of shows it visually what a bulb out would look like. And they have a tree there, you know, and then they maybe have lamps, lights on the inside the sidewalk. The bulb out would be outside. Now, this is something that we need to decide if this is really what you want to do, or if it's, you know, it doesn't make any sense. But this is where we start to getting into the visioning. What do you want to see done here?
Does the
Mayor,
state-
there's one of
does
them
the state let
almost
you do that?
across the street right here. There at Haltner's, that bulb out or whatever you call it.
Yeah, yeah.
That's somewhat of the concept.
Where it's a state highway, can you do that?
But that's, can I
Yeah.
make a comment?
Yeah.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
all this has to be ran by UDOT. And what I see UDOT doing is they say, yes, you can. But we will plow the main section. We will not plow. That means somebody will have to come back in and plow where those, because you can't see them when you get 9 inches of snow, you can't see where a bulb out is. I mean,
Right.
we have that same in our parking lots. You can't, you end up breaking the curb, busting your plow. And so UDOT will not, I can see them saying, yep, you can do this, but you'll have to plow the parking area. We'll just make a pass down the middle sections. I mean, they're good. They're made to reduce your cross traffic as you pedestrians cross. They don't have to cross as much into the lane of traffic, but they do have their limitations as far as snow removal.
I suggest you put some of these together with your town hall and some of these ideas and see what the public thinks about them. I'd be curious. I love it, but
You do like them.
I do.
I hope I'm wrong, but looking into the future, I'm fearful of that. Because, and I've said it in some of the other public forums, as the population booms here, and you get to, I believe it's a 1.5 minute delay at a stoplight, and on a state highway, that's an F. The state will not accept an F, and they will do what they have to do to not have an F because it impacts their federal funding and support. And the first thing that they normally do, because I used to be part of transportation in the Coast Guard before they switched, and I used to work with the Secretary's office and other transportation entities, the first thing they would do is lengthen the green light on Main Street so that people aren't delayed there as long. They'll be delayed more on the side streets. Doesn't bother me a whole lot. That's pretty normal. If we still cannot succeed in getting rid of an F grade, really the only option they have is to go to 4 lanes. Lose the parking on Main Street and take that away. Now, I hope that's way down into the future, but I don't know, but I've seen it happen. And that's a concern. So something like this becomes a hindrance. So I don't know what UDOT would say. I don't know how much they're looking into the future, but that could become an issue.
It would use up some parking too, right?
If it
I
got
mean,
that,
if you did them, you would take a few parking.
I think the ones on the corners are painted red already. It would be the ones in the middle that it would.
You gotta remember, semis turn
They're
down
alleyways
corners.
also.
You get a semi trying to turn off a main and they're gonna run right in the middle of them.
I know we had to redesign when we did this because they could not make the radius. And so we worked trying to get the radius for a tractor trailer.
So currently on that top picture where you see the light, that's where the trees are set currently. And as we, you drive up and down Main Street, and maybe they're the wrong tree for the area, but they kind of go into the facades of the buildings quite a bit. So if we didn't do the bulb outs, I don't know that we would want to do trees again inside the sidewalk, So I think these are kind of these are the kind of the discussions that we would have to have on a town hall or,
I don't see anything wrong with cutting the bulb outs out and just running down with the posts all the way down.
Street lights, where
Yeah.
the trees are.
that's kind of what I was thinking too.
Be able to put something on the corners that look kind of neat with with some of those Tremont and Main Street, Tremont Street, some
On the,
cool
like,
signage.
the banners or,
An actual street sign that's.
oh, an
hooked to
actual
posts
street
that,
sign, yeah.
Kind of makes it look a little bit more nostalgic, if you will.
Those street lights, I've seen some towns, I think that's something that we could do to unify the city and have the same light poles and have greenery like Lyle puts out down on the, have it right up on the light poles. Have solar lights, look modern and that type of stuff. And if we have any money left over after that, then start giving grants, facade grants to try to help improve some of the facials
Yeah.
of the buildings.
So I'm hearing redo sidewalks with lights first and then move to buildings and then worry about trees maybe later if
Whenever,
Or no trees.
trees at all and just
that's the
Well,
big
that's,
argument right now. is
that's
no
the big
trees.
argument right now.
no trees, more lights.
Maybe go on. Because that's the next thing. So the idea being, should we try to prioritize some of our thoughts here a little bit? And it depends on who you talk to. A lot of the merchants feel strongly that the trees ought to go. Some of the residents feel strongly that they should stay. That's just kind of where we're at. Those trees,
Starting to
they're
break
the
sidewalks.
wrong tree. They're really the wrong tree for that location. They weren't. They just weren't the right ones to be planted there in the first place. But
So what's the right tree?
there's columnar type trees. There's smaller trees that are designed for for this kind of thing. So there are trees that aren't. The problem with those, honey locust is when it grows full bore. I mean, when it's a big tree. It's a big tree.
Are there any trees in this picture?
You had your light poles and you had greenery on them and all that. I mean, you would have the greenery, you would have the look. And then during the winter, you'd have banners up there and
Decorate them
A lot
for,
of times you could decorate
Yeah.
off those
Yeah.
poles,
yeah,
and the whole town would be doing it. It'd all be the same. That's the
I
unification
mean,
that
look
we
at that
really
picture
need.
there. There's no trees on there and it's so open and so inviting and
that's what I thought. You take the picture, looking at Main Street, take all them trees out, it's gonna look twice as wide. I really do believe that.
I agree.
If you were to look at we did a repeat photo of Main Street based off this picture right here, and one of them, it was this picture, and then we have the one back 10 years or whenever it was, and yeah, it was there's a big difference. The trees, some people think it's a good idea, others not so much. But
Lindsay
that's
looks 10 years younger in that picture, doesn't she?
it does.
No, Lindsay does. She looks
Lindsay
old.
does.
The road was painted just a little bit wider than it is.
but it'd be nice to run water, electricity, everything to that when we rip that up and let's just do it right. And personally, I'm all for the sidewalks and the posts. That to me is number one. I think that would give us the biggest facelift.
Just before we leave it, when we got into the facade grants, I don't know if you can remember, but we got into this discussion about trying to get all the buildings to look the same and all that kind of stuff, and it killed it. And so that's going to be a hard one to manage. I mean, what it is we're trying to do with those facade grants, we're going to have to be precise and careful about how we're doing it. I think if you put too many limitations around it, it's not going to be able to be used.
However, if it's a facade grant and says, okay, if you're willing to go to this standard, whatever it is, we're willing to dish in. Otherwise,
Yeah.
we're not.
And we got to figure that out.
Yeah.
Again, still in the learning curve here, but I don't know if this is competing tax dollar wise and if we're talking other potential tax increases. If the public feels that we're spending any significant amount, then we end up doing a tax increase. I don't think that will go over well. So if this is money that could help us avert having to do a tax increase,
So I think,
more what the public wants.
And I think you're right with, that's where that sales tax debate comes into play. The other money is already tagged for and it's in there, so.
The RDA is tagged, but you're right, the sales tax
sales tax
is a
is-
discussion.
Yeah.
and we earmark sales tax for capital projects, one-time projects, kind of like this, what we're talking about here.
It's not a mandate, but I understand that typically that's what we do.
Yeah. It's not a mandate, right? Yeah, that's been the typical. And it's nice to do it on these one-time projects where it's not an ongoing expense,
So 80% of that goes to capital projects and 20% to,
operation in the general fund.
That's
and-
what this city does. Again, it's not a mandate from the state.
It's a recommendation from the state that the sales tax
Yes.
revenue is used for capital purposes.
Yes.
Correct.
But where were you seeing basically about a 70% increase in sales tax in the last 5 years? Whew. Man,
Well,
that's
and
big.
it kind of tracks along with the cost. I don't know what, Paul, if you could tell us how much road construction has gone up in the last 10 years.
But in the last 10 years, everything's gone up probably almost 2/3. You know,
I mean, we're just keeping up with inflation, right?
most everything we do deals with oil barrel prices. And so, and then supply chain drove everything crazy too. And nothing's come back down.
Going up now.
Things are just,
So what I'm kind of hearing from you is that you think that lighting and greenery are probably the two things that, possibly the removal of trees. I'm just trying to recount to what I think I'm understanding you saying.
I think you gotta take the trees out if you're gonna put new lights so that you see them.
and aren't you gonna need to bring all the cement up and do new sidewalks?
Yes.
that was my recommendation because where the old trees have come out, I mean, the sidewalks, trees
Trees are
heave the
pushing.
sidewalks and
Let's just do it right.
and we can put water and power underneath those sidewalks. Right now, the lights are overhead fed power, and so that's what makes them look so ugly, a lot of it. And so you could do.
For me, this is a competing issue as we go into the budget mode though. So if these are primarily used for capital projects, what's this potentially taking money away from?
Right.
You need to.
And where is the
Well, that's why I'm
prioritization?
asking, that's where I asked, you know,
Dripping by
the
2 o'clock in the morning.
7% increase in sales tax. That's what I was proposing, is that we take some of that isn't current, you know, I mean, we haven't assigned it to anything yet, so I'm just asking ahead of time that could 200,000 of that be applied to this project, to this capital project?
I get it. For me, I need to see what it's competing
Yeah,
against. and how
yeah,
to
I don't,
prioritize.
at this point, I don't think it's really taking away anything, but, you know, there's give and take. We're going to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to talk about capital projects next, and that it'll kind of give you an idea of what funds have money to pay for the next year's capital projects and which ones we might need to transfer more money into, which would be the competition with these funds. The other thing is, you know, what do we consider Main Street from what west to what east? Do we do a block at a time? Do we do all the trees first and then a block at a time? Like, there's so many.
So the question is, how
Variables
much are
out
these
there.
light poles gonna cost? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the first
Paul's got a
question.
good idea, because I think we're gonna stay with the same that we have down Fourth West and
Well,
that, right?
our plan all along was for us to own them. Right now, those along Main Street, except for around IFA from Matheson on, those belong to us. We spend $20 a month to power those lights. We spend $12.50 a month per light pole for the rest of the lights in town. Because they belong to Rocky Mountain Power, we have to pay them for unmetered power and for the maintenance of them. And if you look, they're not maintained
Yeah.
really well.
They don't paint them. They don't do
But
anything.
my best, I mean, I would love for us to own them We can maintain them. Most lights are fairly pretty low maintenance. And, but along with that, we need new concrete with them. But for every light, they run about $2,500 depending on the style and the height that you get for those decorative lights.
At the city meetings we go to, I've noticed there's quite a few of them that are solar based, and so that'd help out too.
Well, the solar's great, but we want power. We want to get power there so we can do the Christmas lights is what I understood we want.
That's what, yeah.
I mean, that's how our
Gives you more options to
that's how our
decorate it.
flashing lights are all solar. They're our
These will
crossing.
need to be beefier poles to hold all that weight of the greenery.
Yeah, they build them that way.
We're just talking a hanging basket on both
Yeah.
sides though, correct?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
There's all different kinds. I mean, the ones down in Farmington have 4 baskets on them. They're huge. We got to decide what we
don't
can
want-
afford. And
You don't want one hanging out into the roadway.
Right.
because-
yeah, I'm thinking you only want 2. I mean, that decision needs to be made too.
I mean, you could do a third one, but you just don't want them hanging out into because
No, I
sure
think
enough,
2 is
some
the-
truck driver's gonna swing in there and take one of them out.
I think we need to get an engineering estimate on how much it'd be to do, one, maybe we can do 4 blocks,
Yeah.
4 sides, I don't know. But it'd be nice to get an estimate and maybe go through some different poles. It'd be awesome if you could have some poles available for people to look at when they come to that. townhouse.
What's the spacing?
About where the trees are, about 4 per
Well-
side per block.
We had them spaced different when we did our initial design, but with the design you seen, they put a lot more poles in, more lights in. I don't know that they're needed.
I think it's 8 on each side, but I don't.
Because
think
we had
that's
it for
many.
3 on each side, one corner, center block, and the same thing on the other side. Right now, they're not even spaced that evenly. Now,
Yeah,
there'd be, those existing are higher, we probably wouldn't go that high.
I'd probably go, yeah,
We probably-
4 or 5 on each block.
6 or 7, so,
Per block?
for side.
Per side?
The height.
270, oh,
Well, that's 6 there, and then you put one on each corner. That's 7. Instead of the trees.
But we can have a lighting guy tell us exactly
Yeah.
what we need per wattage.
Mm-hmm.
Make it look good. And
Because, this was probably designed by a designer, architect, whether he knows, what that light output, but we could get that information easy enough from our suppliers.
oh, I think we're good. So anyway, that's sort of the idea here, with downtown. There may be other ideas that you have. Certainly, this would be the time to entertain those ideas.
I hate to bring this up. I still think on Tremont Street, we need to change that parallel parking.
Oh, okay.
I think that down there by
We're
Napa
like
and
yeah.
right over there, I think that that's such a inconvenience for traffic to try to get, you get a long enough truck in there, you cannot get to it across there. I know that people don't agree with me on that, but that would reduce our parking. Or put some kind of sign up that says small cars only.
Mm-hmm.
When you put a full-size truck in there,
Stick
you
clear out.
cannot get around.
And if they got a bumper, or if they got a hitch on the back, then that really
That's really not Main
sits out
Street.
there ways.
That's profiling me and my truck.
Sorry.
I don't have a little car. I don't go there either.
Think you hit you out anyway, though.
Jeff, do you have any other ideas?
Oh, I was just relating to what Brett just said, and every time you pull out from City Hall and go up to Main Street, And if you're gonna do a right-hand turn, boy, it's like a last second get over there to try and get around it, especially if it's a longer truck. Whew.
Yeah.
With a big hitch, yeah.
One other idea that they've always talked about when they have professionals come in and tell us what we can do to spruce up Tremont. And I mean, right now, we don't know if we even have enough money to cover the things we've already talked about. So bringing more ideas up just complicates it. You know, having some type of sign, you know, you go to Delta and all these small towns, they always say, welcome. It's kind of a marker. We have a lot of entries into Tremont, and so I don't know if that's doable or not, but that'd be kind of fun to have. Something small, but, you know, definite.
They had a really cool one designed down at the bridge down there by Zion's Bank, right
Yeah.
across there. That was really cool looking.
It's a good place, too.
We have, do you want to talk a little bit about wayfinding?
Yeah, we have, well, we're waiting on another grant, an implementation grant to purchase the manufacturing of the signs. And we went out and got bids on them. We were hoping it would be, you know, under $100,000 or something. And we did go to the most expensive vendor with Yesco. They'd be really good, but they were expensive. Anyways, we're gonna look for more.
You teased us, come on.
I'll have to look back. It's been a few months since I looked at the exact price, so I don't want to say the exact price, but it was hundreds of thousands of dollars to do this wayfinding project. But I did think while we're doing, you know, the downtown district here, if we could get the ones within Main Street while we're redoing the streetscape. And just phase it in possibly, because it takes in the whole city. It takes in, you know, arrows to the fairgrounds, arrows to the trailhead, arrows to the library park, and all these different areas, the city hall. But I could show you the plan if you wanted a refresher, but if we could do the ones just up and down Main Street and then do these welcome signs with it, because that was part of the plan as well, is putting welcome to Tremont signs up where we currently have them. Actually, one was out by the old Denny's site, and then the other one was where we currently have one on East Main Street that we need to spruce up.
So, yeah, if we were prioritizing, you definitely want to spend the money. We need to prioritize.
Yeah, I agree. One idea that we sort of came out with is just throwing it out there to see what you think, but maybe take that Midland Square block on either side and start there to show, you know, what this, just a place to start. And then, you know, we can kind of go from there, but yeah, I think, you know, lighting, but that's going to require, you know, the tearing up and replacement of the sidewalks and everything like that. But what I keep hearing is that lighting and greenery seem to be the more important things. Bulb outs, not so much. Facade grants, let's see what we got in the end. That's kind of what I'm hearing right now. Am I right?
Be good to get numbers and then get that
Okay,
town hall thing
All
put
right.
together.
good idea. Well, that's all I've got on the visioning for this week. Mark's, I guess we're going to delve into the budget now and get into the nuts and bolts.
I just looked up the bids, and there were 3 phases. And one was $260,000, one was $180,000, and one was $48,000 for the 3, if we wanted to do every one of them. And that was purchasing the sign and having them install them as well. So anyways, it was more expensive than it was like way out of the league that we were even considering. But I emailed you all just right before you came into this meeting, so I don't know if you've received it or not, but it's a link, and if you have Excel on your laptop, you should be able to get it. If you don't, we'll have to figure out another way. But last council meeting, Brett asked if we could do like a working document, and the city uses Microsoft 365, and so that's what I used it on. But it's a link, and you should be able to access it if you have Excel. Lindsay's pulled it up here, and I'd like to just kind of walk through the format of this, so that you kind of know what this is it's our 5-year capital projects plan. I've took off the projects that we had budgeted for this year that are currently funded and are moving forward. But I kept on some of the projects that may be moved to next year because we haven't had the time or the manpower or whatever to get that project done. Happens quite a bit that we'll fund a project in 1 year and it will roll forward to the next fiscal year. So I've kept some of those on. But the way the spreadsheet is set up, so who all has it, just so
I don't.
do?
I don't have Excel, so I'm gonna have to figure something out.
Okay. So on the very left-hand column, there's some green cells, and those are all of our different funds. The green ones are our governmental funds. That's all funded through general fund money. The blue ones are enterprise funds. Those are our business type categories. That's water, wastewater, sewer, and storm drain. And those are funded by user fees. And then the orange ones at the bottom are our RDA funds. So if you click on one of them, let's just go from the top down. And the first one is the general fund. And all this does is it takes away the rest of the table and only brings up the projects then these are only capital projects that are part of the general fund. So we're trying to get capital projects outside of the general fund and account for them in their capital projects funds. These two that we left in there are just different plans that we would like to do. One of them being an emergency services plan. After the county's done with their emergency services, or their fire district plan. We had this pre-programmed before the county wanted to do their fire district plan. So we'll see what happens when the results of that plan comes back. But this one is emergency plan for police and emergency services. We are currently in column D. We're in that fiscal year 2024. Next year, that's what we're talking about. That's column E, 2025. So we need a budget for those. And then F, G, and H are all kind of beyond what we're actually budgeting for next year. So what I put on here was this big green box. Curtis went through all of our different funds, and he told us what we have available to budget for 2025 and beyond, as of right now. And so right now, the general fund has $146,000. And what he did was, Lyle brought this up last week. He took out what we need to save for rainy day or what we need to save for
Safety.
catastrophe or whatever. And then this is on top of that. So this is what we have to spend for.
So the balance is actually larger.
The balance is actually larger, but yeah. So he took what would be prudent to keep for a rainy day fund.
You know how much that is, or percentage? or
I
dollars?
do have it, but I would have to look for it, and I can put that on next time, or I can get that for you. But I just thought for ease, we would put the number that he said, yeah, go ahead and spend that. You won't put the city at harm if you're spending that much money, you know. So, and then I put little notes on here as well. The general fund is funded by primarily taxes, grants, business or licenses and permits. That's like development fees and different things. And then other government entities. So the Bragg funds a lot of the senior center, other other governmental transfers that we receive. So that's what's funded by, that's usually what funds the general fund. But as this is a capital project workshop that we're in right now, we'll move on to the other funds. But
Another
yeah.
question on this one. So and not having the background, when I see that the master plan for police emergency services is delayed to 2026, so we don't have any urgent need at this point to do it sooner?
Right, yeah.
Correct.
It was
Okay.
something to maybe start looking at the facilities that we have and if you want to know a little bit more about that typical request or that typical specific project, down at the bottom where all the sheets are, I put a tab for each one. So the master plan for police and emergency services, and that will give you more of an idea of what it's about.
Excellent.
Some of these might be a little bit outdated. I put them in like 9 months ago when I was working on this, trying to get this to a point where we could present it like this. But I haven't had the chance to fine tooth comb them since putting them in, and since maybe we decided not to do it. So there might be some that dates are a little wrong, but for the most part, they're correct. I don't have the time right now to go through every single one of them, but I will.
So Mark, if there was like an earthquake, that's what if there was an emergency?
This one planned? No, this one's more for the departments themselves to kind of show us what the department should look like, how many officers we need, what facilities we need. It's more that. It's for police and fire. So emergency services, including fire, emergency medical, and police are crucial to the services. Just a master plan for these emergency services for future demands on emergency services. So that's what this one's for. And we earmarked like $50,000 to pay for a plan like that. So if you go back to,
35,000?
oh yes, 35,000. Sorry, I was reading the annexation plan. So those are the two projects in the general fund that we've had on our 5-year capital projects fund. If you want to make notes, I have a notes tab over on the far right, and I would love for you to, put a note in here. Let's talk more about this, or like anything that can help me to prepare the budget. Like I think this is a low priority, or I think this is a high priority, urgent, or something to help me prepare the budget. Your comments would be helpful for that. And so you can just type in that notes section, and this is a working document that will be saved. So that'd be helpful. So then, if you want to go back to the overview page and see what the next fund is, you just click that red button, and it will take you back to the first sheet. And then you can go to the food pantry. And the food pantry, they've only requested one. If you want to make that one column a little bit bigger, yeah. They've only requested one item for capital projects. They pretty much run on operating expenses, just your typical operating and maintenance. And the one thing that they've requested is a covered parking for their truck and their trailer. And I'm trying to work with the Public Works crew and the police, and just making sure we put it in the correct spot. We have all those police trucks and the trailers parked out there. I was hoping maybe we could get some sort of covered parking and they pay their portion of it, and then we talk about sharing it. But that's not for next year, that would be the year after, so we don't have to spend a lot of time on it. But again, if you want to read more about it, you can go down to that bottom tab and click on it, and it'll give you more information on the project. So then we go to parks. And this can be a workshop. If you guys want to tell me the notes right now, we can put them in. But these are, again, I've just taken what's been on our 5-year capital projects plan and put them into this tool for the council to use. So you can pull it up on your own time and put notes. And but for parks, we have in fiscal year 2024, we have these Midland Square improvements. So that's Brett was asking earlier how much we have budgeted for Midland Square. That's the $579,600. Next year, we talked about last week, we talked about that Stokes Park Phase 1. It would be 1.7. So this is where we come into an issue. We have $870,000 in Parks and Recreation fund balance. And if we want to do Stokes Park Phase 1, it's 1.7 million. So we either need to go get a grant or, apply for.
I was trying to be the optimist and hope that we could go to county, state, federal grants and supplement.
Yeah. So
Heavily.
that's the only way we would be able to do it the next year. Or we move that to fiscal year 26, try to transfer some money this year, transfer some money next year, continue to work on grants.
It'll help me understand the timeframes. So I see it for FY 2025, we would have to be going after grants quickly, I would assume, to get the money for FY 25.
If it was 25, so the time frame, anytime you see the FY, that's the fiscal year, and the last number is the year that it ends. So it would start July of 24 and end June of 25.
So it's quick, so you need to be applying quickly.
Yes. And the Land Water Conservation Fund cycle, I think, ends in April, if I'm not
And
mistaken.
I don't know if we're a part of the SCORP or not at this point, to know if we've enhanced our odds on that.
Sorry.
But hopefully, we'd have enough time, we could get some decent-sized grants to assist us in that effort.
The other project for next year that we are contemplating, this is just one phase of our canal rail trail that goes north and south through the heart of Tremonton, and that's the Rocky Mountain Power portion. If you remember, Rocky Mountain Power gave us an easement to build this on their property, but with that easement, they required it to be built by. It's within the next fiscal year, and that's why I have it on here. Let's see. Go down to that tab. Thought it said it on there. Anyways, we could go back to the resolution number. Oh, yeah.
So this is just to the west of North Park, right next to the railroad track.
Yep.
Over to the corner of that field and then back down to Fourth West. correct?
Northwest, yeah. And then that's the only part from Fourth West I guess that would be 500 North to Main Street. It kind of has to go through the residential area a little bit with sidewalks. And then once you hit Main Street, you cross Main Street by Jim and Dave's and you pick up the canal and then go all the way to the south from there. And from the Rocky Mountain Power portion to the north is all along the rail corridor. So. Any other questions?
That's 8-foot sidewalk, Mark?
It's a 10-foot asphalt.
The trail, but the sidewalk portion is 8-foot sidewalk
Oh, yeah.
along 400 West. on the west side of 400 West.
I just,
And then it turns and
I have a hard time with this stuff.
Goes on the west side, then it comes across about 500 north there and goes behind Rocky Mountain Power and up
Hard time with the trails.
the east property line of Rocky Mountain Power.
I do.
Brett, we can get you a Microsoft 365 subscription with your email and get you in, but you'd have to use it with brody@treemountaincity.com. And then you can just do it web-based. So if you come in maybe one day, I can walk you through that.
I'll just leave mine with you.
I've got to mention,
Let it out.
I mean, we're going down, spending $100,000 to put a 10-foot cement path in the corner of this field. Why don't we just fix the sidewalk where the kids walk to school and use that same amount of money and develop that sidewalk and use that as the walking trail?
Right there.
I mean, you got those kids walking down right out on the road, walking towards the intermediate school in that time. Why don't we use the money? Why do we stick it in a field? It's $100,000.
And I don't know, and you know, 100,000 is going to be enough to do the project.
I don't know if we could going to the west because of that ditch.
Yeah.
If you wanted to widen that, you can't take the road, so you'd have to take that ditch out that they're
So-
still using in to irrigate.
Yeah, so you
Down to
move the
Rocky
ditch
Mountain
over
and then
and use the
down.
$100,000 to move the ditch over and then develop that street so we haven't got kids
We,
walking.
we don't have it, that's not a right of way. It's on the north and the east side of it, isn't it?
No, I'm talking about the road, the sidewalk that goes directly west.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think they're giving us access on the south side of that property over to the rail and then down.
No, so, I mean, I'm just common sense.
Would be, but.
We got a little 3-foot sidewalk, and we're gonna develop a 10-foot one going the other way. Why don't we help the kids that are walking to school?
The problem, Lyle, is if we're gonna make a 10-foot trail, you can't have a 10-foot trail in front of Rocky Mountain. You know, you come up and then you gotta go 10 feet.
I don't know if anybody's even asked them that question.
Yeah. But
I
I
mean, we're
mean,
going up 10th North and making all kinds of, cuts into people's properties and that type of stuff. If we're gonna spend $100,000, why don't we spend it wisely? I'm just thinking about how many people are gonna ride their bicycle on a $100,000 trail out into that field. It's just wasted money.
I do think when the whole trail is connected, it will get used. I was looking at the map today, talking to Zach, and we got the park, North Park right there by it, North Park Elementary. The inland port, it's going to go on the east side of the inland port, so it's going to go all the way up to Factory Street in Garland, which picks up Garland Elementary, and then it goes. I feel like once the whole thing is connected, it's got a lot of good potential to stop at a lot of different schools and parks along the way, and the shopping center, Tremont Center. It'll go right next to it as well.
and I see a fair amount of kids walking the tracks.
Yes, there are quite a few that walk the track. So, anyways,
hunting pheasants when I walk the trail. I know.
we can look into other options with it along that area. But we do, if we want to keep that easement, then it does have to be constructed in this next fiscal year. So, but I'll talk to Rocky Mountain Power and look into other options possibly.
Something I'd like to hear is from you, from Zach, though, too, is recreation professionals. So what's likely to get more use? If the goal is to enhance the use, what's likely to get more use?
A sidewalk in front of their property or the trail? Are those the two options? I think they have. I agree with Lyle's point that 4-foot sidewalk going up and down 600 North is too small. And then they got a big mailbox right in the middle of the sidewalk as well on portions of it. But I think, like I said, once the whole trail is done, a 10-foot trail will be will be really nice to have from both sides.
But I mean, connected to the sidewalk versus away from the sidewalk.
Yeah,
What's going to get more use? Again, look into your professional expertise on what'll get to use.
I think. Well, the trail on the backside of Rocky Mountain Power's property or the sidewalk, enhancing the sidewalk on 600 North. I think the sidewalk will, just because of all the kids who walk to school from Alice C. Harris, it's
Okay.
more of the corridor.
The same amount of steps, either way you go, so.
That's my
You're gonna
point.
come off of 6 North and go that way, so either you head west and then head south, or head south and then back to west. Come out the same.
One or the
We
other.
pay Rocky Mountain for that property.
Does two.
No.
No, they just granted us the easement for
It's
it.
safe and develops the trail at the same time.
Yeah, we can look into that for sure.
I think if we could get it 10-foot wide out in front and keep it consistent, that's a great idea.
If Rocky Mountain
Yeah,
worked with us
I
that
think it's
way,
a great idea.
because you're doing the same
You're
thing.
gonna cut into their fence, go down there right by the building though, and they're
I
gonna have to move
understand.
their fence.
That means that fence
And
is
their
gonna have to
lawn.
be moved. But we're gonna spend $100,000 going off into the weeds, so why not spend it moving a fence?
Yeah.
The other thing is along Fourth. Well, we're gonna go along Fourth anyways, but there was a resident in here just last Wednesday talking about how when all the cars are parked on both sides of Fourth, he thinks there should be no parking on one or the other side of.
And Laura probably knows that from going up there on Sundays. It really
Right.
gets bad by our house on Sundays
It's
with the
crazy.
parking. Because there's not enough parking for our house.
Yeah, so,
And
and I don't know what the frontage, I can't picture it in my mind what the frontage on Rocky Mountain's side is on Fourth. If we could do a wider sidewalk in front of their property or not,
I think you could.
could you?
You put a 6-foot sidewalk where Micah put the develop in Tremont and Center. Is that a 6-foot or an 8-foot?
it's 8 foot.
So that 8-foot comes up to the apartments and then goes down to a narrow sidewalk from that point on.
It goes 8 foot all the way to the intersection now.
Then it goes to a normal
Then it goes to
sidewalk.
narrow it goes to narrow, then it goes to no sidewalk up by the, Russell White's office. There's no sidewalk there along Fourth.
That's the problem.
It was built before the city required it.
Yeah, I think Rocky Mountain would work, but going down that street's another
You
thing.
can only go 8 feet. If that's only 8, then you only need to go 8.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're
Walking
good.
Trails.
Okay, if we go back to the overview, I was trying to get through these green ones today if we could.
25 minutes.
Yeah. So we go to fire and EMS. This was this is their 5-year plan. Currently, we have budgeted in 2024 this fire truck and the turnout gear. The fire truck is not going to be completed. That's why it's in the yellow. So we're going to have to put, it depends on if the chassis is completed first or not. So we might pay half of it out of this year and move the other half to next year, or move it all to next year. But that aside, from fiscal year 2025 and beyond, the fire balance is like $227,000. So I think that's enough to pay for their capital equipment such as fire hoses, fire nozzles, turnout gears, extractors, some of the smaller stuff. But when it comes to an ambulance, which they would request next year because it takes 2 years to even build, the city has to decide if we pay for the ambulance out of fire and EMS and make them save for it, or if we pay for it out of like our capital equipments project fund, and the city, that fund is funded by transfers from the general fund with the sales tax money.
I have to ask you because you listed again grants. Any potential for a grant with that?
Yeah, that's something.
Chief?
Any potentials for ambulance grants on the way?
Some potential.
I don't know that I can give you a percentage of likelihood, but we are certainly exploring it. I assigned one of the captains to take on grant research, and he's exploring what our options are. Apparatus, grants for the fire service, we have a high likelihood for smaller pieces of equipment. I would say we have a pretty low likelihood of getting a vehicle.
Good to know.
So, yeah, so I think as far as next year's, we should be close to, maybe a little bit more of a transfer in, or maybe pay for that ambulance out of the capital equipments project. But we should be fairly close with what they've asked for as far as capital projects go. Then if we go back to the overview, well, yeah, do you have any more questions about what we're thinking about funding next year? Okay. Go back to it, go down to Fund 40, capital projects. This one's one where the council has been very good at transferring money into our capital projects funds. So if a couple of options here, we can use the money that is available for 25 and beyond and make some transfers to the other capital projects, or we could move up some of the projects, or we could add other projects that we haven't contemplated yet that we think could be a benefit to the city. So the cemetery expansion, that's something that we've been contemplating for the last few years. It's one that we probably need to get a design for, start working on maybe the infrastructure for it, the roads and the sprinkling, irrigation. I don't know, what's your thoughts on that, Paul?
Just getting it done.
I'm getting low on plots, so it's time for that.
We have the design, we just need to get out and grub it and start getting the sprinkler system in, and then build the roads in. Time.
The parking lot out here, well, parking lot at Jeannie Stevens, and then the parking lot out here, starting to get some alligator cracks. Jeannie Stevens has some really wide cracks that are coming in before it gets too bad. We'd like to refinish those. I think they've seen they've seen the life out of those parking lots currently, so we need to focus on that, and maybe we do that as part of the road projects that we're doing this year.
Well,
or
at the Civic Center, we have to rebuild. When we redid it the last time, we didn't have that big, heavy fire engine. It kills the parking lot.
what we have out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's not a good base under it, and so it needs to be rebuilt from the base up. Jenny Stevens can be crack
Resealed.
sealed and repaired and sealed that way, because it's it's got good base material under it.
Okay. And then there's a portion of 1000 North. This one says 2660 to the city limits. I need to alter that. It's just 2660 to where we decide to end it, which I think is just past those storage units. There's a clear cut in the road where it's bad on the east side, and it's okay on the west side. But the reason that this comes out of the capital projects and not the transportation capacity fund is because if you're just pulverizing and repaving, you're not adding capacity. And we pay for the roads that we're adding capacity out of Fund 42, so we'll get to that one. We pay for roads that are just maintenance out of Fund 40. So that's the reasoning for that.
So, 1,000 north,
2660 is not the
Okay.
first one going up, it's the second.
Okay.
We're looking to do between there and just about the storage sheds. But just pulverizing, we're not curb gutter, none of that on that. It's just the road that we wanna redo. Cause we're redoing curb to 2660.
State sheds, is that what you meant?
It's just there's some storage sheds just past 2660.
Aren't we doing, I'm
I
sorry.
I drove up
2660,
there, you
we're
can tell when
widening
it's
the road,
time.
right?
Yes.
300.
So.
That's
what-
a
where's
different,
this?
that's different than this.
Yeah,
That's
from
1,000 north.
2300 to 2660, just past that. We're gonna widen curb gutter sidewalk, that. And then that's as far as the money goes, and that's where we're getting those slope easements, because that's where the road really coming off onto people's property is really the grade. And then we're just repairing the road from just past there to where the road gets good up there,
Right.
about 3,000
Yeah, about
west.
30th west.
You'll notice the road is good all the way out to the state road from there.
Okay, so this is beyond the area we're gonna
Yeah,
repair.
Yep.
we're just gonna pulverize, repave it, so it's a good road section. It just won't have curb gutter and sidewalk yet. And then when we do expand it, the road section will be good. We just have to do the edges.
What you have to do, yep.
Okay.
Okay. Then if we go to the next one,
Be able
that's,
to do that, money out of that.
and this one, I'll admit, I haven't got with all of the department heads and updated this list. I just took what was from last year. So I need to make sure that our equipment and capital vehicles list is up to date. But as of last year, we had some more police department vehicles. And then I'm not sure if the mowing tractor was ordered this year or,
It's just ready, we just gotta go get one.
okay, yeah,
This,
so
it's split between
it's funded.
capital fund and the water department. Right.
Is this
Matter
also
of
a fund
going
where,
and getting one.
with that balance, that monies could be
Put me in
transferred
charge
to
of
other
it.
capital
Well,
projects?
that's why I'm gonna
It could be, looking forward. Sometimes,
Tell them to go get one.
we got
we
prices.
got to be careful because, like last year, we had the street sweeper, and that was
Big.
$317,400.
yeah, big cost items. So be careful if we're going to transfer them. But yes, this is only funded through transfers. I guess you could get grants in there, but very, very rarely do we get grants to pay for the full vehicles. So typically, it's funded through our general fund transfer. And then if you go to Fund 42, that's the capital roads that we were talking about, Brett.
He had to sneak out again.
That's the capital roads. I asked Chris for some new numbers, make sure that these are still okay. I'm gonna try and verify we have new numbers for all of these, but I suspect it's gonna take that 3.2 just because of the cost of oil and the cost of roads,
So
maintenance.
cost increases, you think will eat it up?
I think so. Yep. So,
Add
but
that as a note.
yeah, we can. Let's see.
It'll help me later on.
Yeah. Cost increases could eat up the remaining balance.
The 1650 West Road construction, is that just,
1650 West is one that we applied for corridor transportation funds, so we got the land donated to us. Well, we got the land through a grant from the county, and it's going to be a stub street on the west side, in between the freeway and
East side of the freeway and west of Stokes.
yeah, the Stotts.
And that agreement, when the property was acquired, had a time frame when that road was supposed to be built.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's pushed to that date. I think we looked at how far back we can push it, maybe into 226, barely.
Yeah,
But
we
it's
have to
not
have
really road construction time in 26. So that's the problem with that one.
Different item. On the 1200 South widening, can you tell me where it's going from and to?
Railroad tracks.
Yeah, where it's going from is part of it's developer driven. They'll have to do part, but the section across the canal, to the development. So there's a fellow there, Blake Christensen, that's on the south side. It'll go from the canal section to past his section where the bridge is.
Where the bridge is, okay.
It's our responsibility. The other will be widened by the developers from First East, which is the road going past Palmer Pack, all the way to the railroad tracks is where it is. So that's roughly 4 blocks.
Okay, but for this one, canal to bridge on this item.
And the bridge, yeah.
Thank you.
What about Iowa String?
That's Iowa String, yeah.
No,
No,
that's
Or
right.
what, oh, what'd we say?
Rocket Road.
Yeah.
Maverick to
What'd you say about Iowa String
That's
No, you're talking Brett's talking Iowa String. We were talking Rocket Road.
Road?
We was
Right.
talking Rocket Road.
I don't see Iowa String on here.
It's not showing up on there, but it was further down, because
So
all we can do there without lots of funds is pulverize and build the road section up, widening and stuff, because of storm drains, it's far out.
Yeah, I just think we need to do something to get a better base
It
underneath
needs a
it.
good base
Yeah.
to handle the trucks.
But I think Iowa String needs to be added into that.
okay, I'm putting it in right now, and then we'll get some cost estimates and
I think I have one.
okay.
And then the Bear River Mountain Road, you'll have to tell me if you feel otherwise, but there's no public out there. It just seems like we're building the road out in the middle of
Well,
nowhere.
that's where Stokes Park's gonna go, and it just connected to the north of it, right by Ashfield Apartment.
Yeah.
It just connected to the north, so it's getting used a lot more instead of 450. They're using Bear River Mountain Road because it's a wider, nicer, newer road.
So how far will this extend it?
So we'll be obligated to do this when Sierra Homes does their phase 9, which is on the west side of Ashfield. They're not planning on doing it, but we need the money set aside because we'll be obligated to build the road when they plan to do phase 9, because that was in the agreement that we made with them when we got the parkland and did all that transfer.
Another
But
question.
that's that other thing with inflation that we're dealing with too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we wait, it could cost a lot more and,
Well, we will wait because it's gonna be development driven.
okay.
And they're on the hook for the normal road section. We have to build the extra wider one. But it won't happen until, and they've phased back phase 9. So it most likely won't happen this next year. But like Mark says, we've got to have the money somewhat allocated so that when it does happen, we have those funds available.
So why wouldn't we put that to 2026 instead of 25?
We could.
Allocate it.
Yeah, it's looking more and more like they're not going to start that phase.
They have phased it back a smaller section, so they didn't have to do their section of road. Because they're impacted like us. It costs money.
Yeah, so we could adjust that. I'll put a little note and make for sure. Yeah, Jeff?
And when you're ready, back to Rocket Road. So the widening, does that add lanes or it's just a widening of the road?
It's just a widening of the road, so you'll have a turn lane in the center and,
We'll have a turn
but
lane.
it'll still have it'll have parking that can take place on the side.
Thank
But
you.
it's mainly a turn lane and
It
lane.
narrows down if you weren't paying attention.
Oh, I use that road all the
Drive in
time.
the canal.
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet.
All right, why don't we break there and take a few minutes, and we'll start our regular meeting at 7 o'clock sharp.
You know what, though? The more I get,
Ahead and get started here. We'd like to welcome all of you to our city council meeting this evening. We're grateful that you're here. Want to extend a gratitude for our welcome and gratitude for our vets who are with us here this evening. Grateful that you're here. Thank you. Our meeting for February 20th, 2024. I'm Lyle Holmgreen, Mayor, and I'd like to welcome all of you here with us tonight. I've asked Councilmember Brett Rohde if he would offer a prayer. After that, I asked Councilmember Blair Westergaard if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Brett?
Our dear Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity to meet tonight as Tremonton City. We ask that we may be able to make the decisions that are pertinent and important to the citizens of this city. We're thankful for the opportunities to serve each one of them. May we find an attitude of civility and enjoy the conversations we have tonight. We're grateful for this great country. We're grateful for all the sacrifices that have been made for this country. We ask special blessing that we can somehow have this country come back together. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm just going to, since we've got a lot of new people here with us this evening, I'm going to introduce our council and our city manager. Over here to my left, we've got Mark Christensen, who is our city manager. Councilmember Jeff Holt to my left. Councilmember Blair Westergaard. Councilmember Lyle Vance, myself. Councilmember Brett Rohde, and Councilmember Wes Eastep. We have our recorder, Lindsay Nesson, and I'm hoping back there in the back, we've got Zach Lefevre, who is our Parks Director. We've got Shari, our Treasurer, and Paul Fulgham, our Public Works Director. I saw earlier Brady Hanson, oh, he's out there, okay. Brady Hanson, our Fire Chief, and Dustin Cordova, I think is here unless he's been called away. Sarah Mormon, who is our Main Street Manager. These are the people that kind of operate keep their things rolling around here, and we appreciate them very much. Council, we've declaration of conflicts of interest. Council, do we have any declarations at this time? All right. Approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as written.
I'll second it.
Motion to approve the agenda by Lyle Vance, seconded by Wes Eastep. All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of the minutes for February 6th, 2024.
Mayor, I have one request on it.
Sure.
On page 15, if you would go to that. Item C there does not reference that there were multiple votes on this item, and I would appreciate it if it did reference that.
This was just comments. What are you talking?
On the draft minutes, item C,
On page 15.
on the 15th page, yes. Item C,
City Department head reports. and
I'm seeing a
Page
different
15 of the
page 15.
document or page 15 of the
Oh,
minutes?
sorry, in the packet. I'm on.
Yes, of the packet, I'm sorry.
Oh.
15 of the packet.
Gotcha.
Item C, there.
Shows right there, motion approved, 3-2 vote.
Correct. There were multiple votes on that item, and I would like the minutes to reflect that.
Duly noted. Do you want to make a motion?
I would move to approve the minutes with the amendment.
Okay.
I'll
Motion
second
by,
it.
okay, motion by Jeff and seconded by Lyle. All in favor?
Aye.
Public comments. This is your opportunity to address the city council regarding your concerns or ideas. We're going to ask you to keep your minutes to 3 minutes or under. And I'm going to ask that you're addressing the city council. You're not addressing the people in the audience. And I'm going to ask that to refrain from clapping or jeers or calls or anything like that. This is a serious event, and we're asking you to address us. So with that, I'm going to turn the time over to the public for your comments.
May I approach the council, please?
You bet. If you just state your name and then your comment.
Certainly. First of all, I'd like to apologize. I'm just going to read this letter that I've compiled. I'm afraid that emotions may run away with me. I apologize that it seems a bit robotic ahead of time. So, my name is Larry Shires. I'm addressing the Tremont City Council. I am the adjutant for the American Legion Post 76 in Tremont, Utah. With all due respect for your offices and your tireless work as city council members, I have been given the daunting task of speaking on behalf of veterans in Tremont, Box Elder County, the state of Utah, and across the length and width of our great nation. These countless veterans have now focused on the microcosm of the entirety of the Midland Square Veteran War Memorial. Gentlemen, make no mistake, this small island of patriotism is and always has been dedicated and consecrated for the peace that it offers all veterans and to the connection all citizens feel to their beloved veterans. I feel I have been asked to think the unthinkable. I feel that I have been asked to speak the unspeakable. That being the desecration of a veteran war memorial for the advancement of economic development. I ask you, is nothing sacred anymore? Gentlemen of the council, I issue you a challenge. Go alone to Midland Square. Sit near one of the old trees, the grassy mounds, and the benches that have been donated by our citizenry. Will you not hear the voices of young men and women whose lives were cut short? Men and women who witnessed the atrocities of war, and all who spent countless hours away from their loved ones to be in harm's way so that we may be guaranteed freedom. We veterans are resolute in our conviction, Midland Square. This we will defend. For Midland Square is what we consider our Arlington. Midland Square has become part of our hearts. A wound to this heart will never heal. In closing, I ask, hasn't this country seen enough politics? What we need and want are leaders who are patriots, regardless of peer pressure, who stand for what is right and not necessarily what is politically correct. Council members, we ask you leave Midland Square unscathed for all time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, approach.
You bet.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is John McClellan. I'm a Marine Corps veteran and currently serving the community through the efforts of the American Legion Local Post 76 in Tremonton. I believe some of this information has been brought forth already. However, some confusion about the concept of the memorial as the statues and the nameplates and the clock tower and the grounds considered the park are two different entities. This book, which is Northern Box Elder County Veterans Memorial that was put together at the conception of that park, suggests otherwise, as the park is mentioned more than once in this book. Donors, contributors gave money, time, and their time to design, to not only build the clock tower, but bricks and pavers for the walkways, trees and benches that were donated. This park was considered hallowed grounds to pay respect for our fallen and family sacrifice, as indicated by the names on the plates. This memorial park should not be restricted, but rather expanded to honor and reflect the lives and service of the many men and women that continue to serve in ongoing operations and campaigns. Currently, or in the past, Urgent Fury, Grenada, 1983. Operation Just Cause, Panama, 1989. Operation Desert Storm, Iraq, 1990. Operation Restore Hope, Somalia, 1992. Operation Bosnia, Kosovo, 1995. Operation Enduring Freedom, Afghanistan, 2001. Operation Iraqi Freedom, 2003. Operation Odyssey Dawn, Libya, 2011. And the ongoing fight against terror, which started around 2012. You see, apparently, the whole world never got that memo that World War II, the war to end all wars, did not happen. Let's take a look for a moment at the principal donors on the list and what they had come up with. There was an auction that produced over $13,000 to design and create this park. There was, there's not even a count of how many people were involved, not only the people that donated, but the people that bought. Principal donors of up to $10,000 that give their money towards this endeavor to create this park and the memorial that stands there, as you have alluded to. After a mere 22 years, are you willing to disregard, to be blatantly rude to the donors that their long-term interests have become devalued and our my hard-earned money consequently has no bearing in the say-so of the decisions made concerning the Memorial Park? A blatant slap in the face. And yes, I am a contributor. My wife and I are listed in this book, and we are talking over 1,700 other donors. When securing financing for...
Sir, your time is up.
Okay. Well, let me just say this then. Let me just say that I would encourage you to explore other options and not put the safety of the pedestrians, town people, in hindrance of the egress for the fire and EMTs on that main artery in the center of town. Please consider other options. Thank you for your time.
Christy Boca, some gave all gave some gave all. I ask that you remember that. It has been stated, we hope that this memorial will be a reminder to all who visit this site of patriotism, love of the freedom, to realize that freedom isn't free. Great causes are not worn in a single generation. The heritage of freedom is as precious as life itself. I asked Lyle Holmgren a few weeks back, what is the real problem with Tremont City? And his response was, no one shops downtown anymore. True. We have no foot traffic on Main Street. I then asked if Farmers Market has added people shopping downtown, and his response was, no. Okay, so we've identified the problem. Midland Square is not the problem. You claim you want to have a hub for the community to gather together. Schumann Park was set aside and built just for that, with a large stage. The mayor at that time had the city's future in sight for use for public gatherings. It's just one block off Main Street. The solution is to fill the empty storefronts with businesses that will benefit the community and help it grow. Find out what people shop for out of town. That's a place to start. We all know in December, we lost 2 businesses due to higher rent, which is a result of 50% higher property taxes, 53% higher business taxes. Residents are upset, and this is what they say. The city has divided us. They've known for 2 years, since August 2022, what their intent for Midland Square is. Why have they not involved the community? Why didn't they have a public forum? Why do they not want to hear what we have to say? I go one step farther. Why didn't you involve the veterans? I feel like that you've done your due diligence by meeting the bare requirements just by talking about Midland Square in the city council meeting. You have not. Your job is to reach out and ask. We wouldn't be here today having this conversation had you taken one step forward on that committee when it was put together to ask public input. Tempers would not be raw. People would not be upset. You say you want to hear from the public, but I don't think you do. Lyle sent me a text last week that says we are moving forward with our plans. That is not listening to what the people said February 6th. I applaud each one of you council members that had the courage to stand up and question and say, wait a minute, I'm not comfortable with this yet. I applaud you for not just going forward like what has been steamrolled in the past. As I took time to listen to January 2nd and January 16th council meeting, it saddened me by the tactics that was taken by Lyle and Sean. We just need you to approve this to move forward. We need to make a vote so that we can get this out for bids. Time is limited. We need to move forward. I feel like that was a bully tactic. Several times this was said. Where's the proof that destroying Midland Square will fix the problem? There's no proof. I've reached out to the community on behalf of the military family, and I will continue to reach out to the community. I stand shoulder to shoulder with the military. I am proud to be an American. At least I know I'm free. My husband and I proudly stand with the citizens of this community and the veterans. And there ain't no doubt that I love this land. God bless the USA and Tremont.
Ralph Metman, live in Park Valley. Grenada, Panama, Iraq, Afghanistan. I served in every one of those. I'm very grateful for those that came before me, the nameplates that you have out there and their names are on it. This park was built for the military people and for people who have respect to go there and see who in their community actually served and fought for this country. I think it would be a shame to take that park out and to put it in there for a profit gain. That food market that you guys want to put there can go anywhere. If it works, then you can decide on a good place to put it and make the appropriate building or whatever you want. But if it fails, the park's gone. What do we have? Nothing. Nobody gains a thing that's anything to do with the military. No respect there at all. I hope you guys look at what you're thinking about doing. Respect those that served in the military and leave the dead people's names there where they should be, where people can respect them and see who actually came from our community and fought in the wars to preserve the freedoms that we have. We've already had enough monuments in this country taken down. We don't need any more taken down. And that's what I have to say.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Suzanne Mettman from Park Valley, and I am a daughter of a veteran. I am a wife of a veteran, so I will come at this from a female's point of view. There are so many people that are in that memorial that need to be remembered and honored, not minimalized. There's mothers that have lost sons and wives that have lost their husband through the generations. This country is tearing down our history, our heritage, and I appreciate a really good market. I do love an outdoor market, but to take away our heritage, we wouldn't even be here without those guys. Some of those guys on those plaques, we wouldn't be here. Have we forgotten that? It's easy to forget when you're trying to run a city. That's very difficult, and you need to find your financial basis. I understand that. But the library park, it's got trees, got tables. What a lovely place. And then, like my husband said, if it succeeds, then you can find a better, more permanent place for the market. But the women that have stayed behind to keep the kids raised, keep the families going, keep supporting our husbands or our fathers, whoever, why do we have to be minimalized for the work that we have done to keep our veterans alive and well in their service, wherever they are? This is the first time I've heard about this meeting, was this afternoon at 5 o'clock. So we came in from Park Valley quickly, of course, because we're very military in our family. We honor our veterans. We honor our ancestors. To put them aside for a market is a little shameful, a little embarrassing that we would do that to our heritage, when the people that have the market, they would be happy under those trees in the summertime. That's a lovely park. Why don't we use what we have and then work about this in later date? Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Len Nelson. I have been in the state of Utah my whole life. My father, Norm Nelson, has been and does so much stuff with these gentlemen here, and all of the conflicts that we go through. It's nice to be able, I get on my motorbike from Brigham City, and I've rode out here several times, and to stop and just to have the peace and quiet of that, and to see everything that goes through there, because I'm a Iraqi vet. 100% disability through the VA. As of right now, I'm unable to work with certain jobs because I just can't do it for medical reasons. And my family is I'm in the military. My dad's in the military. I've got 15 cousins that are all in the military. I've got, my sister put a book together that was a family's right. And she went through with documentation and everything else. And just from me back to where we have had military people in every war and basically every year since before this country was a country, clear back to England. And it's nice to go over there and you sit with other military individuals that are on the plaque or actually physically there. There's something about that peace and quiet that you just can't explain to people who've not been in the military. And I'm here representing, I'm part of the DAV, the VFW, and I just wanted to let you know that park means more than probably anybody can put on paper. And I hope you guys don't disturb it. Thank you.
My name's Diana Otbos. I see both sides. I have a military husband. My family was military. But I also am a store owner on Main Street. Whenever the market has, that's when I get business. My understanding is they're not going to touch the memorial itself. They're going to expand, which is in return going to bring people in. They're going to come in and they're going to see the memorial. We've got to increase for Main Street. Everybody says use Schumann Park. That's fine, but it's not on Main Street. Just alone, whenever they have the market, my business increases 20 to 25% that day. It's hard because, like I said, I am a wife of a veteran, and I totally respect these men and what they've done. And as long as they do not touch the memorial and build around it, we need personally, I think we do need the advancement there at the park. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, ma'am, I didn't catch your name. Could I just hear her name, what her name was?
Diana.
Diana, thank you. She just took the wind out of my sails.
No, introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm Colleen Johnson.
And I'm Tamara Zollinger. And we were the original committee for the square.
Right. And I was just going to, Diana, I was just going to ask, out of the council members, I just have some yes or no questions because we're on a timer. Just yes or no questions, not a lot of elaboration. Are you going to touch the memorial? Answers?
No. No.
Is the memorial going to stay exactly as it is?
Well, it may improve.
No elaboration, yes or no? Is it going to stay as it is?
Yes.
Thank you. As Tamara explained, we were the original, and I can say I am so glad to see so many people here tonight. I am. It thrills my heart to see so many people involved and interested. Where were you when we were trying to get this thing put together? And why wasn't it put together years before we did? Why wasn't it put together in 1920? Why wasn't it put together in the 1940s? Why didn't you have a Veterans Memorial here? And why is the interest so much stronger now than it should have been then? So finally, when we decided to put a Veterans Memorial, we were building the park, and it was actually an afterthought. And we had to fight because so many people wanted this down at the cemetery. And we felt like the memorial would be better seen, better served in a public place where people would go by and see it and honor it and enjoy it. How many people here, I wonder, go down to the cemetery every day, or every week, or every month? These are the things that we had to make a decision on. And maybe it might be in the wrong place for some people's mind. It might be the wrong thing. It might have been the wrong color. It might have been the wrong shape. But it is what it is, and we hope and pray that they will get the dedication and the honor that this memorial deserves. The park was put together so that people could gather. Our community needs more social togetherness, not divisions. We don't need to fight one another. If we disagree, so what? We can compromise. It isn't a dictatorship here by any means. These people are trying to do a job that they were hired to do. Tam, I didn't mean to take the whole time.
No,
Go ahead.
no. I'm just saying, when it was dedicated, the memorial was dedicated as it was. The park was not dedicated with the memorial. They're two separate things, okay? All right, let's go.
Now, anyway,
Our
bring
time's
your
up.
ideas. It is not, it's still at 2:47. Okay. All right, thank you, guys.
My name is Jamie Poppleton. I just have to ask council, how many of you have a military background or a family member that has served in the military? 5? Okay. I would like to know if it's possible. I think we're on a crunch time to get those that I've talked to get this area of the memorial completed by the end of this year because of the funding and the grant that was received. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is it possible to give that back, go back to the drawing board, and actually take some more time? Because this is such a personal issue. I have a brother who was in the military. I've been in this community. I know several people that have served, and I thank them for their service. If it's used for the purpose it's used for now, what's going to happen in the next 20 years when that needs to expand and something else put on the other side for the men and women right now that are in the military or their kids go to the military or those family members need a place to go? Are we going to build another one someplace else? Or is it going to be this on this side with the next 30 or 40 years on the east side? If it's turned into something different, we're going to have to build something else somewhere. 2 are great, but why not improve the one now that is the memorial and save it for our kids' kids should they choose to go, or our grandkids should they choose to go? If Tremont is going to continue to grow, that extra space is going to be needed for additional memorial places. My last thought is this: if the memorial's been there since 2001, what's happened to Main Street in the last 20 years? I don't believe it's the simple fact that that area has either improved or unimproved downtown. I think it's the businesses that were here that have pulled up shop and went elsewhere. I think it is the cost of rent on Main Street. I think it is those that have had to close up shop because rent has been increased. Find out who owns those buildings. Find out who rented those buildings and see if those people have any input as to why there are no businesses. I guarantee you it's not because of the memorial, good or bad. It's because, in all honesty, our downtown sucks. People can't afford to rent the spaces that are there. Lower the spaces and you'll get people. If you build it, they will come. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie.
I'm Dean Anderson, and my wife promised me I could go if I wouldn't get up here and speak. So, I want to say thank you, you veterans who stood up and said what needed to be said. Thank you, and thank you for your services. And I thank you two wonderful ladies for putting in your time to make this Veteran Square what it was. But I've listened to all of this, and I'm having a hard time seeing how you gentlemen are trying to split the memorial from the park itself. To me, that doesn't make any sense. Because when President Monson got up there and dedicated this wonderful park, he didn't say, we're going to dedicate these wonderful memorials for what they are, and we're going to let the park be something else. It was all one unit, one thing. So I'm kind of a little bit taken by that. So I was there when it happened. I was there when they kind of put it together and helped do all of that. And again, I thank you two ladies for what you've done. And I listened to you over there in the corner that say that your business increases when they have a farmer's market. But your farmer's market could be somewhere else and could still bring in the traffic. And I know you're shaking your head over there, Sister.
Indeed, you're addressing us, not the.
Okay,
we're not-
but
we're
I'm just
addressing
saying
us,
that she
not
made a
the-
comment,
not
but
the
she made a
audience.
comment. Okay, but a farmer's market in the Midland Square is not going to make the problem what it is. The problem is Tremont City isn't getting any, the market, the town front isn't getting any better. You know that. We all know that. Do a market analysis on that, sir. Look and see where it is. See what it is. See who owns all the town, all the storefronts. See why everybody's leaving. Then you know what your problem is. Even as dumb as I am, you know what the situation is. So, again, you guys need to look what the situation is and address it for what it is. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dean. We'd like to thank everybody for their public comments. Thank you, vets. Thank you for taking time to come out here today. We appreciate your service and appreciate everything you've done. We'll deliberate on this. One thing we talked about in our work session is that maybe what we'll do is we'll have a town hall. Once we get a little more information regarding what we're doing, we're going to have a town square. We'd invite you to come and talk about the square, and we'll kind of go from there. So that town hall will be sometime probably maybe toward the latter part of next month. We'll invite all of you to come, and the council will be here, and we'll have a less formal meeting where we can really sit down and talk about the different issues and everything at hand, and we'll go from there. So anyway, thank you for your comments, and we've got some other business we need to be doing, so you're welcome to stay. Yes, sir. We will make an announcement. We don't have a date at this point, or I would announce it, but
It'll
we
be at
will.
least 7 days' notice.
Yeah, we'll let you know. We'll let it'll be on our website. Yeah. And we'll announce it. I don't know if you know how many of you go to our website, but we'll have it on the website. We'll have it on our Facebook page. We'll try to get it out as many ways as we can possibly get it out, so you'll know when that town hall meeting will be. So,
That's how you find it all, right there.
On our website, under government, agendas and minutes.
and down below there, it'll
Under city council.
It'll be under city council and, or scrolled up a little bit down to on the homepage, you can also scroll down to the bottom down, all the way down.
Oh, see the packet?
Yeah, right there, right in the black part right there. We'll have it announced there too, there'll be several places we'll have it so you can get on. And, we've got Zach, raise your hand. We've got a few people kind of around in the audience that you can ask questions to, and they can help you know where to go to.
Mayor, could we post a sign at Midland Square with
Yeah.
the date that we're having?
Yeah,
it,
that's a
and then you
great
can see
idea.
it
We
when you
could
drive
post a
by?
sign out there so that when you drive by, you'll be able to see the date and time of the town hall meeting. So, anyway, again, thank you very much for your time this evening. We appreciate it very much. We appreciate the comments, and we have taken note of them, and we'll have another meeting here when we have our town hall. Thank you. Okay, council, yeah, you're welcome to stay, or you can be excused. We'll go on we've got some other business we've got to take care of now. The Jepson boys might want to stay.
Brent's there anyway. Brent's right in front.
You can't leave yet. You got to stay.
Bruce.
They're older, they have no control.
Rick.
Bruce is in charge.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem, is they consider the whole park as the memorial. And therein lies the debate. I want to ask the question, we've been having farmers markets for the last 2 years.
We'll go ahead and continue with our new council business. I wanted to take this opportunity to review our council assignments. If, let's see, Lindsay, can you bring up the webpage one more time? Just click over somewhere to where we can, there we go. Now go over to, let's go down to the mayor and city council. I've spoken with you, and we've kind of gone through and been able to, I think I've spoken with everybody to make sure that you feel good with the assignments that you have. Brett, let's just kind of go down and start with Brett right there. He's the mayor pro tem. The planning commission, as Brett knows, is an ex officio member, is a non-voting member of the planning commission, but he kind of heads it up and as new seats need to be filled, he is the one that sort of goes out and finds the people that would be willing to serve and then brings it forward to the council and that kind of thing.
Mayor, could you use the microphone? I'm not hearing you so well.
Oh,
Sorry.
how's that? Is that better? Oh, I'm sorry. I was started to go to sleep.
Turned away and I couldn't quite hear.
All right, I'll start over. Brett is the mayor pro tem, and he is also on the planning commission. I just mentioned that he's the ex officio member and non-voting member, and then also the arts council and the employee appeal board. So when there's a question and an employee has an issue with their contract or whatever, he is on that board and works with the city manager, probably the city manager and I guess myself in some way to, who is it now? The department head?
Yeah, maybe the mayor, city council member, no, it's either the public works or the police chief is the department head, and then 2 employees that were voted on by other employees also.
In that department, okay. You understand that? All right.
It'll just be with me, so we can fix it here.
Okay, Lyle, let's see, there was Lyle and Jeff and
Leave it open. We have to leave it open for the public, so.
Lyle, Jeff and Sarah and Mark, and I think Sean was there too, wasn't he? Was Sean there when we went down to the Kim Gardner Institute? Anyway, we went down there and Lyle had some great ideas that we're going to be working on. And so he'll be working on, to start with the DRC committee, and again, it's an ex officio member. So you're a non-voting member, but you attend the meetings. Financial oversight, he'll work with us, especially during budget season, and economic opportunity. So that kind of ties in with the Kim Gardner. Okay, Wes, the food pantry, I've picked on you here a lot, Wes. The Youth City Council and the Taxing Entity Committee, which is, when we talk about the RDAs and things like that, that's where all of the taxing entities get together and then they vote on whether to accept whatever the business is coming in and that kind of thing. So that's where that all takes place right there. Taxing Entity Committee and the Tree Board, and then Blair, Public Health, EMS, Emergency Medical Services, and Historical Preservation, and Jeff, the library. That's a requirement on their minutes or their bylaws that a member of the city council is a part of the library board.
And so I vote on that one?
Actually, when I was on it, I did vote.
Okay. 'Cause
Yeah.
I've heard Kim mention that. I wanted to be
I
sure.
think I do. I think I do. I think you do. I think I did. Affordable housing, Jeff has got a lot of experience in that area, and we figured that would be a good thing where he could really help out. And then his career has been in emergency preparedness, and so he will work with emergency preparedness. So anyway, those are the assignments. I think everybody is okay. If you've got a question, let me
What about
know.
communication? Did we decide not to assign someone that?
Oh,
I
good
thought we were
point.
going to ask Jeff to
That's a
be
great
in
idea.
charge of communication.
Is that something?
Was that something that you were gonna take on? Is that?
I think I was going to take that on, the part of it, yeah. All right. Is there any other thoughts on that? Are you all okay? Everybody's okay? All right, there you are. I think it's just a review. We're not voting on it. They were just assignments that I dished out. And so as long as everybody's okay there, we're good to go. Discussion and consideration of approving an off-premise beer license for Northern Lodging LLC, the Hampton Inn. Mark, do you want to fill us in on that?
Lindsay was gonna take this one.
Oh, Lindsay,
So
sorry.
the Hampton Inn has applied to have an off-premise beer license.
Off-premise meaning that it has to be sold in the original container, and it has to be taken off-premise to consume it, which is a little strange when you're at a hotel, but I was promised they will not be allowed to drink it in any of the public spaces of the hotel. They will be required to take it up to their room and drink it up there. So I included a picture they sent. All they're looking to do is just have like a little fridge in their gift shop that's got beer in it that people can purchase, so.
So dumb question, do they have to get their beer through the beer companies, or can they go down and buy some and put in there?
Have to work
Not
through
that
the
we
Department
care.
of Alcoholic
That's
Beverage
what I
Control,
thought.
But yeah, I'm not positive what their
If they're,
rules are.
yeah,
If they can just go to Kent's and buy it, or if they have to do it through
don't matter to me, but.
wholesalers.
Does that put any burden on police?
It shouldn't. I mean, it's a pretty small fridge, so.
Their hotel rooms anyway, so
Right.
Hampton might as well be making money off of it, I guess. So we're allowed, per ordinance, we're allowed to have one off-premise license per 1,000 inhabitants, and we currently have 7, and we're, 11,000 population.
Where's the other 7 off-premise?
It's all like gas stations,
Oh,
The
the golf,
golf course is one. Mhm.
yeah, your Mavericks, Kent's, Ridley's.
Oh.
Your only on-premises is the grill, Western Billiards.
That's it.
Is that all?
I think so.
Maybe all is just those 2,
Yeah.
so. Yeah, this has to get approved by the council. The police chief will also have to sign off on the application. Assistant Police Chief Crockett did the research and ran backgrounds and all that was required to, so that's been done and all was well there, so.
So what do you need from us?
Just approval that,
Like a motion?
yeah, to issue this beer license.
Okay, so
so it's not just a motion to approve. I'll make a motion, we approve the off-premise beer license for the Hampton Inn.
Second.
motion by Wes and seconded by Jeff Holt. Let's see, let's start with Jeff this time.
You're going to be an all in favor on this one.
Not a resolution or anything.
Oh, it's not a resolution. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Discussion and consideration of approving a special event permit for the Mugs and Bananas Classic Car Night on Saturday, June 22nd, 2024. Bruce, do you want to fill us in?
Yes. My name is Bruce Jepson. I do this every other year in Tremont and Preston. You guys know that. First of all, thanks a ton for all the help you've given me before. I appreciate it. And I'd like to know if there's anything I could do better, if it's approved tonight or not, or if I have Brent Rupp does the blocks and everything in there, and I have 6 guys. I've got on 3 sides of burnouts. Burnouts only lasts 45 minutes. And then I have I was just wondering if there's enough for porta potties around, just 1 or 2. That was my concern last time. They came over to Midland Square and everything. It was kind of far for some of the older people to walk. And that was the only thing I was going to ask you. But if it's okay, I don't know if I'm doing anything wrong or right or,
I don't think we took them porta potties in, did we? Zach?
One time,
Did we get them porta potties for them guys? We didn't, did we?
It was at the square.
Oh.
It's what we've used for the whole summer. It's at the square. So we don't have any public restrooms downtown, so we'd have to bring in special ones, which is 175, I believe, to bring it in for
So you're saying that maybe not put them at Midland?
Yeah, I just put it right. One time we had them right there by that telephone pole, right there. It was really right in the middle.
Oh,
it was
yeah,
really a
down
good
that
spot.
alley.
You guys been great. You guys been great. I don't want to take all your 3 minutes, but you've been
Oh,
great.
no, we're not on a timer now.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, I was going to get it all in notes here and all. and everything. I mean, you guys, after what's going on tonight, I can see how it's be tough being a councilman. Right? I thank you for that. And this is something different. I don't know. I guess I don't like growing up sometimes. And one time a year, I enjoy this. It's a car show without being a car show, and it's free to everybody. Everybody. In fact, in June, no, I mean, sorry, in April, a few years back, I had a hot rod breakfast out at the Crossroads with Brent Rupp, and on that corner where the Crossroads used to be. And I had a whole bunch of, I had 95 cars show up and I cooked breakfast for them all, so.
Leave the door open, right there.
And this is how they look. This is the flyers I make for them. That's what it looks like. I did that over Newton Dam this year. And that's just something I do before the premium to this. There's no approval for that. It's just something that Brent lets us go out and use his lot out there. And so I'm gonna do that, but by then I'll have, if it's okay with you guys, I'll have a flyer ready for everything to show them that we're gonna do in Tremont, if it's okay. Preston loves it. They're really on board with it. They want me to come up there all the time, but I'm from Tremont and I like both, and it's kind of nice. And the format's going to be the same as 2 years ago when we was here. We'll meet at the high school. This is the flyer from there. I didn't have one made up because I don't know if they can do it yet, so I didn't make one up. But that's what it looks like, and it shows everything right there. You want to pass it? Yeah. And this is another thing I just do. This is just going to do for Tremont. And that's when I did it Newton Dam last year, and it showed a bunch of guys showed up, and old guys and their families and that, and it was free for them, and I just like seeing old cars pulling. They look better when they're driving in and driving out. Car shows are boring. I really don't like car shows, to be honest with you. But when they pull in, when they pull out, and that's what we're doing here. And we all grew up with old cars, and you know, I know it's a pain, but I know that the businesses, and Dale's called me and he says, "Hey Bruce, you gonna do this year?" I says, "I think so. I'd have to go to city council first." He says, "Well, I got some vendors that want to come in and bring some stuff in, a bunch of vendors and stuff." Says, "Okay, I'll let them know that." And Bill Myers has been real good, and so is Kirby, and the Western across the street, they have a big hoorah over there too. I mean, they're probably their biggest night. Max Drive-In asks me all the time. But my main thing is if there's anything I could do better that you guys would feel more safe about, they sign it. I got a thing that's signed and everything, they sign it, and I talk to them before I drill them, and they've all been good. I'm both Preston and here, and they go from here to the wall, and that's it. And then if they go no more than 10, 15 miles an hour.
Why don't we have our chief come up and maybe that we can just sort of talk about, I know there's been some discussion about safety and everything, and so, Chief, could you come up and we can talk about this and make sure we cover all our bases and get everything.
Chief.
Mayor, can we have both chiefs come up?
So, for the record.
Brady, do you want to come up as well? And so why don't you come up as well?
Get up here, Brady.
Thank you.
So I've talked to Brady about it. I love the idea. I've never been present for it. The biggest thing we're concerned about is safety, public safety. We want to make sure that there's barricades and things to protect the public from the vehicles, and also that the vehicles that are participating in that can't jump those barriers. In case they lose control, we always have to think about community safety. So that's my major concern as far as like the fire side. Anything for you?
Yeah, that's, Chief Cordova and I have not been a part of this event in the past. We know that historically it's been a very successful event in the community. I think we both highly respect that, but being the new guys on the block and hearing what's taking place, there are examples in other communities where things do go poorly. And so our concern is probably primarily the crowd and making sure that enough safety is in place to make sure that we don't create any problems.
How far do they burn out? How, we only go.
From here to the wall.
Yeah, we only go.
I have
20
blocks, and I found out too, when you do that, you put them wide in front and narrow in the back, and you have the cop tape back, way back there, and then these walk, and then there's no way they can go through the barriers, because they're only 5 feet, there's cars that are 6.5 feet or so, and then they go straight out, nobody's behind that. And we have the tape, we have the barriers like this, they're those big cement barriers, and then we have everybody back there, the closest anybody can be is here, the councilman. But they're way, in fact, farther than that. You know how it is over there. They're actually way back, and the cars are going this way. And they can't burn out and sit there and burn on the road. I'm saying there's none of that. They go for 5 minutes, seconds there, then they pull ahead. That's it. I don't know why it's like bull riding. When they go to rodeo, everybody shows up to the fairgrounds. You know, it goes there.
We've been a part. The fire department was a part. We had an engineer before. If they lost it, they're going to just hit that barrier, and then they kind of, after they're done, they got to kind of dodge out of it.
As far as the vehicles, any monster trucks or anything crazy like that?
No.
Okay, that's what I was told. I'm going off, third-party information. So as long as they don't have the capability of jumping the barriers.
Oh, yeah.
I would feel comfortable signing off, provided we have enough barriers, and I kind of have to see it.
Yeah, the last time the chief of police was with me there in the
Yeah.
morning when I was setting the barriers and everything. He said yay, nay, and we did everything they wanted.
Okay, fantastic.
Brent Rupp's great. I mean, without Brent Rupp, you couldn't have it. He brings him in, and he's good.
Cool.
So,
One year, didn't you have the chief do the starting and
yeah,
say go?
well, we have two guys. We have two guys on both sides, and they go like this. Yeah, that was Nance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question for both chiefs. Do you feel that this can be accommodated without it impeding response time?
We just need a plan. We just got to see what it looks like, because we're going off third-party information. I'd like to kind of see what we're talking about with the barriers, size of barriers, as well as like the layout that we usually use.
Could you be there Saturday over here? We could walk it out. I'll show you how it
Sure.
works. That
Yeah.
work? What's good for you?
Let me get with you. I got to double check my schedule.
Okay.
but-
And do I also understand that the two chiefs will have to sign off on this?
Yeah,
Typically,
whatever
the
you
fire
guys
chief
say.
doesn't sign off, but I feel like my voice is.
I don't think they do.
And then on the response time issue, we regularly have events
There's a hand drawn.
that we have a system where we just turn trucks around and pull out the back of the station, and that's a regular occurrence for us.
So these are all your barriers right here?
Yeah, that was last year's, yeah. Uh-huh. And you put it wide in front and there in the back, and then everybody's behind this, and you have people walking here, and before they start, they don't just come in, wham, wham. They stop, one goes out, one comes in, I lean in the window again, and they have to sign a thing. They got a stamp on it that they've talked, and they have to read this thing, and they have to, and we stamp it. We check it. If they ain't got it, they don't go. And I have it, where we meet at the high school, I have a person down there that's signing them up. There's usually have about 10 to 15 guys. That's that's how many cars we have. Then we do the diesels last. And I'm telling you, the diesels are the kids, the younger kids, and that's when I have an issue. I'll be honest with you right off, okay? That's ones I talked to, and I'll be right up front with you. They've been really good, okay? But that don't mean they can't happen. I'm not trying to be, saying. Without that, I've had drag nights, and they die. And then the band plays just before they start burning out, so that brings them in, so the band's playing. And they do walk around town, and they stay around, and I won't have it playing as long, the band playing as long either. Have it done by 10:30, so people can get home and everything. If you keep things longer, you keep them just enough they want more, then you quit. That's what you do.
And when you say diesels, you're talking diesel trucks?
Yes.
Do they have the capability of jumping your barriers? How
No,
tall?
the barriers, those, they call them Jersey barriers.
Yeah, yeah.
They're 5 feet long and about,
The freeway kind of
yeah,
construction was.
yeah.
You're talking pickup trucks that are diesel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun ones, because they ruin all their tires at Stewart.
I mean, yeah, they don't go, there's something like an RPM like a gas engine. They
Spend a
just-
little money.
They don't, I don't worry about them, they're just young.
Boom.
It's a younger kid. What I'm trying, and the kids come, I ask, how'd you hear about this? And he says, well, so-and-so told this, saw it on Facebook, and it's something that wish we had in our town. I says, well, we're lucky to do it here, so don't mess it up. That's it.
And citizens are way off, and at the end here, so we're going this direction?
Yeah, you're going straight south.
Okay.
Straight south in there. Daryl's is right there, and this is Kirby's. I'm glad you guys kept this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in fact, it's more like, let me see your pen. It's more like, there's your 30 foot's like here.
Yeah, they roll out, yeah.
So it's got all those barricades beyond it if something did get out of
There's
control.
two guys right here, stand right there with flags, and they're told, when you see those guys, go like that, you're done. Yeah, there's guys on both sides right there, barriers. And there's 3 guys walking here like that.
Yeah, that sounds pretty
Then
good
the
to me. What
tape's
do you
back,
think?
this is the, I guess you want to got caution tape. Everybody's behind that, and this is probably 15
Do
feet.
you guys
or
have
20
people to
feet.
keep people back on the
Yeah,
side there? or-
yeah, that's what they do, they walk the sideline.
Okay, perfect.
Usually it's been the fire department. I've been, Mike
sounds
knowing
great.
them.
Well, I've got guys I trust that are telling me that it's good.
Okay.
I'll be there.
But you're okay.
Be one of them you trust?
The main thing is, it's free to everybody. It's free. It's free to everybody. It actually costs me money to do it, but I like it. I'm not complaining. But if there's something that you guys, and I'll talk to you Saturday, you want me to do, I'll do
Yeah,
it.
I mean, this actually gives me a lot of.
Yeah.
I mean, now that you're explaining it, I feel pretty comfortable, so.
Yeah.
And then the day of, I'll come and get set up with you
Sure.
and make sure.
Yeah, we
we're good.
come do it. We don't make sure the businesses are still open. We do it about noon. They start closing down.
You probably want to,
Businesses love it. It's a car, you got a body shop, ours a pot store and a tire store right there. So it's kind of, that's why we do it there too. It's just off Main Street. They drag Main, and I tell everybody if they burn out in town on the Main Street, they're gonna get a ticket, like in the old days, and they understand that. Yeah.
and Chief, there's a ton of people, so might want to have some extra staff. But there's a ton. It brings a lot of people to town.
Fair time.
Yeah.
How many cars would you dare guess?
What's that?
How many cars would you dare guess come last 2 years ago?
150 to 200.
Right.
That's old cars. That's a lot of old guys, so.
And everyone sits out on Main Street and just watches.
No.
It's just certain, yeah.
See, it'll start at the high school. I talked to the high school already. They're okay with it. We meet it there at 5 o'clock, and from 5 to 7, we talk and kick tires and everything, and I have free sloppy joes for them down there. Then they drive downtown, drag Main. You know, they're dragging Main, everybody's watching, and then the guys line up for burnouts. The burnouts get done, the band plays, it's done.
Yeah, sounds good. As far as the police department, what resources do we usually give you, if any?
A lot of times, just seeing your cars driving up and down Main Street, that's good. That's, when we were kids, we see a car, that's what we did too. We didn't, you know, you don't peel out in front of the car. You did it where it's legal, you know. Being honest with you.
Dustin, I'll take you where they don't think the cops are peeling out.
Yeah, I feel a lot better about it, having all the info. Is there anything I'm missing, public safety wise?
You might want to call the Preston Police Department too and talk to them up there and tell them, and mayor and everything, they're all on board with it too. They want me to go up there all the time. I'm a UPS driver up there.
Oh, cool.
See, that's why I do it up there too.
They do the same setup too?
Yep.
The barriers?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, the county brings them in. The county up there brings them in and everything, and puts them up, and we did. In fact, we used to do it by the fairgrounds, but people don't like going from town to the fairgrounds. They want to stay right in town. I had a band right there on the corner too. It's similar to this. This one's a little bit different, where you drive from one area to the other. And I've done it in Weston, Idaho to Preston, where they have kind of a little drive. So some guys like driving their cars, and it looks good when cars moving and then sit.
Yeah, works for me.
That's all this is.
Cool. Yeah, I'm-
But this is the biggest issue for everything, is right here, right there.
So council, why we brought Bruce in, any special event that was considered major, like we block off a road, it's a hindrance maybe for the residents. They need it, the council needs to approve those. If you want to see this event happen in the town, you approve it. And then Zach will work with Bruce.
He's good last time. He's real good.
And he can do an acceptance letter upon the conditions, whatever conditions you want on the event. And, you know, the condition could be working with the chief of police, working with the chief of fire, working with the Parks and Rec director to make sure that all of these standards are met.
So the only road we're closing is the second south?
Yeah, just off of Main Street and one behind.
Oh, okay.
And it's,
Second west.
That's second west.
Oh, is that second west?
Second west.
That's right by Car.
Did you?
Carquest.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that makes more sense. All right.
Yeah.
And then, are we going to block First East? What?
Second east. Second
It's-
east from
it's
Main
first
Street to
south.
Darrell's.
Just the first block.
Okay. So that's the only block we're going to
yeah,
block
right
off.
where the parts store is to Darrell's.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's second west,
Second west to first south.
the first south.
Main Street to first south.
So the motion, if,
Carquest. Carquest and
Yeah, they know
tire
all that.
shop and then the
Old
body shop.
Anderson.
okay.
He's twisted.
So in the motion, we can, if it's agreeable with the council, then we can sort of get this done so you guys can go on.
Yeah.
Is that, so I would suggest that we, in your motion, if you feel like it, we need to make that.
I make a motion, we approve.
I think Brett had a question.
Are you bringing food trucks in, or
What's that?
are you
Food
bringing any
trucks.
food trucks or anything like that in?
You know, I haven't, but we have Ryan Olson with the strawberries. He's right there by the band. I wouldn't have a problem with anybody. It's not a money-making thing for me. It's for the city. You could bring them in. I know Max likes it when they, come in, but
It'd be nice to get some food trucks here.
But the vendors from Daryl's, I don't know what they're gonna be. Probably, I don't know if they're gonna be vendors for food, and I might wanna talk to him over there. So it's Marty's boy. He's the one that
Some
called.
just show up, don't they? Because they know what's going on. They just.
Yeah.
They might.
It seems like they've been there before.
I don't think there's been advertised enough so they know, so they really set up and prepare for it. And main thing is the parking. I tell the guys, just park over there by the parts store, and then in the alley there, across the street, and it says, park right on Main Street. The cars it's nothing wrong if they park on Main Street. That's what we did in Preston. All the cars parked on Main Street, and the cars just dragged. But there's 4 lanes up there, instead here's only 2.
Good thing we don't have show house there no more, huh? That's good parking.
Mayor? Second the motion, but I have a question.
Sure.
First, so the chiefs and Zach, are you all okay with this, or should there be some signature later that you've approved it? You okay with it now?
Approve it, just to get all the information squared away with Brady. I mean, we'll probably want an operation plan. Typically, that's what we do in an event like this. And that way we also can accommodate potential accidents and things that will happen as a byproduct of the increased population. So we're gonna have to put some things in order, but you guys can approve. I mean, we just have our safety side of concerns that we gotta make sure we can square away.
I think here there's probably 1,500 people at least here, isn't there? At least, right here. So that's where it's.
Pretty close.
Everybody's at is right there, so that's probably your
Then
concern.
I would offer an amended motion.
Okay.
For the influx of population in the community for that. It's nice to have an idea of what our staffing will look like, how many officers I need, and if we need officers in there for the 1,500 people, in case there's other emergencies, medical emergencies.
Yeah.
Things of that nature. So.
With Blair's concurrence, I would offer an amended motion that we approve the permit with the sign-off from fire and police and Parks and Rec.
Okay, you okay with that amendment to the motion? Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Zach had something.
Well, on the permit itself, it does require that signature by the police department. So what I do is I come and I bring this event forward as a major event, and I recommend it to be passed with the approval of the police department and safety. So then we work together with them to make sure everything is safe for it to go. So the approval from you guys does include that approval from the police department first.
Just to reiterate, to make sure I understood clearly, so while the police chief signs off on it, the 3 of you are working together on.
Yes, we
on
will.
this
So,
item.
so as soon as it's approved, then we work together to make sure that they are comfortable with that, with Bruce. Otherwise, it doesn't go forward, so.
We'll get a better drawing. We'll get a better drawing, submit a better drawing too, more accurate, what it looks like, 'cause
That's a pretty good drawing, Brent. It's in the wrong
it
streets.
shows that 20 feet clear to there, so it looks like, oh, they're gonna
That's
they're
just
gonna
like, yeah.
spin clear to there, but no, it's just barely start and then.
Did we have a second?
We haven't got a second.
I'll second it.
Yeah, we'll second it.
We're working down the line here. Okay, we got a motion by Blair and amendment by Jeff, and a second by
Both.
both of you?
Yeah.
Wes and Brett. Let's see, this is just a discussion and consideration, so all in favor?
Aye.
I didn't think there was any
Bruce,
opposal.
how many years have you been doing this here in Tremont?
13 now.
13?
Half of them been here. It started on my reunion in 40 years, and that was in 2012.
Thanks for everything you guys do. It's an awesome event. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, and like I say, this is the issue with the whole thing. I had it here one time before, and I told, it was Allred, he was the police, Kevin, yeah. Told Kevin, and on it says, rules don't tell the fuzz. You know, that was on the thing. And we didn't have a burnout, nothing, but all the cars showed up, and it caught them off guard. They didn't know how many was gonna show up, so I thought, I maybe better get a little bit more organized, and, because they all came downtown, and some was burning out in town. And they wasn't ready for that. I'm just being honest with you and everything.
They still will.
Yeah, so, but, anyway, that's telling the truth on everything, so.
All right, we appreciate it. Thanks,
Thanks
Bruce.
all you guys, appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Ron Jepson, I cut your interview on KNUV or whatever it was. I enjoyed it.
Really good, very good. I like it. Love all your guys' guts.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks.
Bruce, stop by and give Chief Cordova your phone number, just so you can tag up anytime.
I got yours.
It was on the application.
Okay. I'll see you Saturday, just give me a call. Yeah, I'll give you a call. I'll go skip this one. Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. All right, consent agenda. We have the approval of the January financial statements and the January warrant register. Council, is there any questions about either of those?
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Both the January financial statements and January warrant register.
All right, motion by Wes, because we can't hear what's going on out there. Motion by Wes and also by Lyle, that we approve the consent agenda,
I second it.
and you seconded it, and so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, calendar items and assignments. Review of the calendar, we have coming up, remember, no council meeting on the 5th. It's the caucus night, so there won't be any council meeting then. The next council meeting will be on the 19th. It might be, if it's okay with all of you, can I do we can do some texting back and forth as far as the town hall?
Yeah.
And try to get something organized with the town hall, if that's okay with you. That'll be sometime, maybe toward the end of March-ish, sometime. League of Cities and Towns, has everybody that plans to go had a chance to let Lindsay know?
Hotel rooms for all of you except Brett.
And you're not going, Brett, because of you got a bus driving?
I'll be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's call it bus driving.
Bus driving. Oh, you're going to Rome? Oh, not good, but not bus driving.
You didn't ask him where he was driving the bus, right?
Yeah.
I'll be riding in a bus.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right. All right. So that's it. For Blair, you and Jeff, this is good. This is a good meeting, and we glean a lot of good information, a lot of workshops and everything that you can attend that you won't get to all of them. We kind of split up and go to different directions and everything, but it's really good. So I think you'll really enjoy it. Was there any unfinished business?
I don't think so.
Okay. Reports and comments, administration reports. Why don't you give us an update on 1000, because we're all anxious to see that done.
Yeah, I know that's, we're all wanting to see that done. The acquisition agent was able to get 2 more of the property owners to sign, and, well, we paid 2 more of the property owners, and then a 3rd one signed just recently. So I think we're only lacking 3 right now. So once those 3 sign, then we can go out to bid. Construction documents are pretty much done. We can go out to bid, and so it's looking like this summer it will be done.
Are any of those confrontational?
Well, I got an email today that one of them is dragging their feet a little bit, just based off of some past things with the city, and so we're gonna talk about it tomorrow at DRC, and see if our engineer can't go and meet with them and try and clear up all their questions. And then the other one, she really wants to know just like what it all means. And so it's been a lot of questions, which is fine. We've been able to answer. She just is very astute and wants to know.
DRC meetings at 9?
30.
30, okay.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. DRC, is there you kind of went over the DRC. Anything else you need to mention there?
There is one application for annexation. We're going to talk about it in DRC tomorrow. It's the Calder property. It is You know, where Gary Madsen built the subdivision on Iowa String. It's the property directly to the east of him, so they would get their services from like the Harvest Acres and Harvest Village area going under that.
Is that
freeway.
Brody? Brody Calder? Yeah.
So we have some questions about it, but we're going to talk about it in DRC tomorrow and then probably in Planning Commission the next week.
Are we having planning commission on Tuesday?
Yes, we are.
5:30?
5:30.
Garland, kind of down in that area. He's on the Water Conservancy District. Okay, did you have a? Oh. Okay, department head reports. Let's see, Paul, do you want to start us off?
Service Area 4 has started. If you've driven this part of town, you notice the mud and stuff. It started, so reps are right on schedule. I mean, wasn't frost in the ground, so they went ahead and got going. Only problem is they've hit a couple gas lines because Dominion hasn't had them marked. And plus, this part of town, a lot of them are barely under the surface of the asphalt, those old service lines. So, but,
One phone line.
huh?
One phone line,
Yeah, one phone line.
nothing serious.
Yeah, nothing. So gas, when they do hit the gas, the fire department does come out on site just in case something might happen. So, but other than that, they're right on track. So hopefully everything will be done in this end of town by the time they have the event here at the end of June. That's the goal. So, ought to
They
be
should
good.
have that paved and
Yeah,
everything by
they
then.
should. So,
The
that's all I.
ASR, the ASR project.
We have a kickoff meeting Thursday, tomorrow? Yeah. Anyway, we have a kickoff meeting tomorrow. I say that, kind of update us where everything's at and get going. But yes, that's all we know on that.
All right, Zach? Nothing more? Okay, Brady?
Just one quick thing to report on, because I feel like I owe you a report on this, and that is the county consolidation study. I was finally able to get one more, they call them documents, I would call them chapters. One more chapter turned in today, and then I should have two more uploaded tomorrow. And that takes care of everything John has told me is the urgent stuff, and then there's about 4 or 5 more chapters after that I'll get done.
Holy cow. Thanks, Brady. Dustin, you got anything more for us?
For the police department.
Good. Thanks for all you guys do. We appreciate you so much. Sarah, do you have anything to add? All right, council reports. Let's see, why don't we start over here with you, Wes?
I have nothing except them two's never gonna miss Muggs and Banana after they see it the first time. It is you'll get kids, older guys playing like kids a little, but it's quite a deal for the community. People start parking there at noon, so they have good parking to watch all these beautiful cars and stuff come down. And I kind of thought, you've been here long enough, but it was in Preston last year, so maybe we should have given you a little more heads up. But anyway, that's a good time. I really listened to the comments tonight. It gives you a different opinion or a different thought process of the Midland Square deal. But I know whatever we do, we're gonna make the right decision when we do, so. Other than that, that's all I got.
I'm going to just ask the question. Can that 405, it needs to stay to just Midland Square? It couldn't be used over in Schuman?
Specific for that project.
Okay. And then, Jeff, how did your little meeting go?
I thought it was a decent meeting. 27 showed up besides myself and a security guard. And the public who was there, some are sitting right here, participated well. I was pleased with the input that the public was offering on, quite frankly, a number of issues.
Good.
So
Do
I
you
enjoyed
think
it.
some town hall meetings would be good for in the
Definitely.
future with all of us?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Thank you. That's all.
I don't have anything to report.
So on the, just for me on the town hall, can we say something, or we just gotta sit
No,
and
it's
take
a
it?
conversation.
I'm having a hard
A lot
time.
more, this is pretty rigid, and it's pretty structured. A town hall meeting would be us talking.
There's a lot of misinformation that's
Yeah.
just not getting out.
Yeah.
And you just walk around and talk to them and.
That's.
I see this as presenting the discussion.
I think you'll be
and then-
overtime.
And then leading the discussion. And, but it would be a lot more.
I do.
A lot more easygoing than a city council meeting.
That's all I have.
Jeff?
One item, and I shared this with Mark earlier, so my phone number's out there along with all of yours, and I get text and phone calls and emails pretty regularly. And so some folks wanted to meet with me yesterday in Pheasant Run subdivision, which if you're over on Iowa String 275 South, runs next to the church, that street. And they're pretty distressed over the flooding that's taking place there in their homes. 2 holes that have been dug, but it sounds like from the contractor, to hopefully retain water, but I doubt if they're 1,000 gallons, so they don't retain much. And they're mud, and they're not sloped, they're steep drop-off, and there are young children right there in those homes. So to me, it's a huge safety risk, and they are not fenced or blocked or anything else. They have a couple colored poles
They're
that
not
are
that deep.
down on the ground.
They're not deep enough that would require any kind of fencing. We have enhanced those. They were filled in when they did construction on those homes. We
Well-
went in and opened them back up some. They were designed that way to take the water, but not the water that comes off the fields. It was only the water off the road.
I appreciate it. For those young children, that's a potential death trap. And I've recovered bodies in my career. Thank
They're
you.
not that deep.
They're 3 to 4 feet deep. I looked at them, I was there yesterday.
I disagree, but we will.
We agree to
We'll
disagree.
make sure that they're not.
It doesn't take much water to drown a youth.
So we'll make sure.
Do they not have adequate drainage over there?
There is no drainage. The drainage is taking place off-site. That was required in the engineering, but it's not made to handle anything that comes off those fields.
On high water, the water is going up the driveways of the 2 in homes.
There's no storm drain until they expand their subdivision and the roads out through there.
What's the address of this? Is it Iowa String
25
and
south,
how far?
275 south,
Okay.
1,000 west,
just north of the church.
Okay.
just
All
north
right.
of the West State Center.
All right.
How many homes
Your
are
area
there?
then.
Yes.
About 6 homes on each side, Paul, 6, 7 homes. They've expanded it twice since I've been here
I
and
think
put
8 on each side.
8 on each side now.
So, off the top of my head.
Okay.
So at what point will they be required to put some storm drainage?
I'm on the other side of Iowa String,
As
but
soon as
I'm not too
the
far away.
subdivision expands, and that's part of, that subdivision's roads will tie
I'm on the
into
east
that
side,
1650
at 900
road
west.
section.
They're on the west
Part of
side.
the property we got for 1650 come from the Siemens that did the Pheasant Run subdivision.
That's the worst part, when they just keep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll run drainage
So
along.
6 homes.
Mark explained a lot to me today, so I have a little better understanding that the residents should learn about as well.
And I
And
visit with those residents several times. I know quite a few of them personally.
and the Silkers compliment you. Have good things to say about you, but they're distressed.
Thank you.
So is it city property? It's not city property?
No,
It's not city property. It's,
it's the road.
you know, we require them to put that drainage in to handle that drainage until they expand it out the city. Just like we require the turnaround, they have the hammerhead turnaround there for the fire trucks and the garbage vehicles.
According to the folks there, they've been flooded 3 times, 2 feet of water in the basement.
Coming off those fields to the north and south.
Backs up, right up their driveway, and
The freeway holds all the drainage.
And some of that had been farmers that did not irrigate properly. It wasn't always.
Storm drain, storm water, huh?
They did mention that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thanks, everybody. I just want to make one comment about Midland Square, going back to the beginning, when just a reminder of everybody that was a hotel at one time. It burned down. I think Blair and I were the last two individuals inside that building
Yeah, don't be
before it
getting me in
happened.
there.
Blair was there to look for hot spots, and so we walked through the whole building and looking for hot spots and that kind of thing. So
Actually missed something.
yeah, clearly. But anyway, when it burned down, then it said, it was covered over and it was made into a vacant lot, sat that way for a couple of years. And then another council member, by the name of Blaine Knockley, had this idea for the city to purchase it. At the time, there was discussion about a tire shop purchasing that property. It was Big O Tire, and they wanted to expand, and they wanted that property. And at the time, my uncle and aunts were both all in their 80s and 90s, and they had not much interest in negotiating or anything like that. They would just sell to whoever, sell the property to whoever. We negotiated the sale, Blaine Mockley, and he headed it up, and then I worked with him, and the city purchased the property. They purchased the property for a park. And so at that time, there was no consideration of, the veteran memorial there. At that point, the council appointed a committee. Colleen Johnson, Tam, and many others were a part of that committee, and they went to work and created what we know now as Midland Square. Along the way, Ace Christensen, who was a very notable veteran, he was a prisoner of war in Japan. He was part of the Bataan Death March and survived that. And anyway, he sort of had the idea of putting together the Veterans Memorial, and we're grateful that he was able to do that. And he got a lot of support, and there was a lot of help from a lot of different individuals to make it so. But primarily, it was designed to be a park. The Veterans Memorial came later, and so I don't know. I guess I feel like we can work this out with the veterans. I think that they are concerned. They want to make sure that that portion of the square is maintained, and we have maintained it. We've maintained it to the tune of tens and tens of thousands of dollars, just updating the names and replacing the plaques that the wording became unlegible. And so the city replaced those plaques. We've replaced the flags. So we've been very, very supportive of the veterans to this point. I think the last time we did the plaques, it was close to $25,000. So, I mean, for us to, we're not going to abandon the veterans. In fact, the comments were made that we've had the farmers market and many other things over there at Midland Square, arts craft, the Chalk Art Festival, Santa Claus. We've had Trick or Treat on Main Street. All of those things have involved Midland Square. we have not had anybody complain about it until now, about that. So I want to emphasize, we want to do everything we can to maintain the memorial. That is something that is, it's a very bright spot of our city, and we need to be able to maintain that. We need to, we honor the Borgstrom boys that are the main part of that memorial, and their faces and the sculpture and everything else there. We want to maintain all of that, and it is a reverent place, and but it's also a memorial and some place for people to, we hope people go over there and look at it, and look at it often. And I think that improving the square, all we're doing is just changing the grade a little bit and making it so that it's much more user-friendly. All of that is, I think, will do nothing but enhance the memorial and enhance downtown. I know I've talked to the council about this, I all know it, and so I'm just sort of mentioning this, but this really is a catalyst. There is a specific reason why Midland Square is identified, is because it is a catalyst for the downtown area. And, the research that we have read up on and understand, the more people we can draw into the downtown area, the more people will recognize opportunity, and hopefully we'll be able to move on it. I appreciate Councilmember Vance and being able to be a part of this economic opportunity assignment, because I think that's going, his experience and his knowledge is going to be very valuable to help us to get Main Street revitalized. It just needs, Main Street is really suffering right now, as we all know. And we can't, the city can't provide we can't rent out the space. That's all private, those private individuals that do that. They rent out the space. They, they build the buildings or whatever they do. But what we can do is we can sort of try to provide opportunity. And I think that's what we're doing here, is trying to provide opportunity for merchants on Main Street to see their way through. A lot of them are really struggling right now. So anyway, that's my comment. That's why I believe what I believe, and why I'm pushing is probably harder than my personality really. This is not a common thing for me to be this insistent about it, but this is an important thing. I think this is critical, maybe even almost existential for Main Street merchants. And so that's why I believe what I believe. Anyway, with that, council, we have one more motion, unless you have something to say.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion by Jeff and second by Wes. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody.
Can I quick take a picture though?
Oh.
So I can update our graphic for city council on social media. So there's a face